Good evening,
Great start,
everyone,
Dan.
and welcome back to the World Online Racing YouTube channel. I've done it again for some reason. My microphone decides to not work with me, but we are back here for round number 2 of this PC Tier 1 Championship. Last time out was a nail-biting finish between Ismail Fassi and Joseph Loke, being separated by just half a tenth at the line, and we'll see if we'll have any more fun, exciting action tonight here at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. It's one of the most iconic circuits in the Formula 1 calendar. Of course, the first ever F1 official race all the way back in 1950. It's going to be a good one today. My name is Dan Field. Tonight, of course, I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. This is probably my favourite track on the calendar, so I'm more excited than I normally would be. And also, we got yet again a very, very strong grid, and also a few new drivers making their first appearances here. So I think we're in score for a very exciting qualifying and also a very exciting race. And maybe we could see some rain involved. It's clear skies at the moment in Q1, but maybe into Q2 or Q3 of the race, we could see a little bit of wet weather. Would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun one this evening. We've got 20 brilliant drivers on the grid this evening. Qualifying is getting underway, and also my OBS is lagging just a little bit on my left-hand monitor, so please do let me know if there's any issues with that whatsoever, and I can see if I can address them later on in the stream. But before we head into qualifying, let's have a look at the results from last week. Ismail Fassi, of course, taking victory ahead of Joseph Loke by just 400ths of a second. Jan Ortmeier finished 2/10 off the win in third position after the late safety car. It was a great race for Ismail, winning from 15th on the grid after just doing what seemed like race runs. He said in the interview, somehow getting into Q2 and then immediately retiring, and he's able to come up with the win. Joseph Loke, another great race from him as well, proving that he deserves to be in the top tier seats. And then Jan Ortmeier, of course, in that third position. You know, he's an icon. Of course, the defending champion, off to a good start this season. Dylan Warren with a decent run as well in 4th, and Ika Bena 5th. 6th was Nicholas Longa after starting from the back, and then Ben Shabakonyi and Tamas Gal make it 7th and 8th for the Hungarian drivers. Shanika Clay finishes 9th, and then Duncan Hoffland finishes in 10th. And the standings are going to be the exact same because, of course, we don't do any fastest lap point here in WOR. So Ismail Fassi leading the championship at the moment, head of Joseph Loke and Jan Ortmeier in third position. I think we've rambled enough. We've rambled long enough here in the intermission scene. It's time we take you over to Silverstone, as previously mentioned by Nathan. It is a nice sunny day here at Silverstone. We'll see how this race gets on.
Yeah, we've got a few people on track. Daniel Yeltson's going to be the first out on a lap, but he's on the intermediate tyres. I noticed Jan Ortmeier is on the soft tyre. Oh, no, he's not. There's a bit of a glitch. He's on the intermediate. It says on screen he's on the soft. So, yeah, everyone so far out on track is on the intermediate tyres. It's something we always see. Drivers just getting used to their equipment, testing everything out they need to test beforehand, because there's no point wasting a set of soft tyres when it's a Q1, a Q2 and Q3 format. Obviously we have an 18-minute Q1 session, a bottom 5 dropout from that, a 15-minute Q2 session, a bottom 5 dropout from that one, then it's a top 10 shootout in Q3 for pole position. So you cannot afford to waste any sets of tyres whatsoever, so that's where everyone is out on a set of intermediates. And as I said, yeah, Daniel Yeltson's going to be the first out in the AlphaTauri with his teammates here tonight. Reese Linton making his first appearance. He's normally over on the console side, moved over to PC, so he is in the other AlphaTauri. He's currently heading down in towards Brooklands as well.
Some names I am a little bit unfamiliar with this evening. Well, I know Daniel Shelson, but his teammate Reese Linton, I've never commentated over him before. Neither have I commentated over Kai Pearson. The name does ring a bell for Kai Pearson, but I've never commentated on him. I guess he was on the Xbox before we headed in, before heading into this one this evening. And another name you might not be familiar with, TF10 Grandpa. That's Max Wiesel in the Red Bull this evening. There's a bit of a running joke due to his age. He's sort of a grandpa in the league racing community, and we'll see see how the grandpa gets along in the fastest sport in the world, but he seems to be doing pretty well. He's purple in Sector 1. Of course, Nathan, we have to take these early times with a pinch of salt due to the fact that we are on the set of the intermediates on a completely dry circuit. It's around about the 10-minute mark is when we see drivers exiting the pit lane on a set of the soft compound of tyre, but it is Reese Linton, the first man to set a valid lap at 29.281. Nathan, I'd imagine we're going to see much quicker times later in the session.
Well, I'd hope, because the 29.2 pretty much matches what times I can do. So hopefully they do get quick, and I'm sure they will do definitely. Once they pop out to those soft tyres, I think everyone's still out on inters. It still says to me that Jarno and Shanika are on softs when they're not, because when I look at them, they're on inters. As Kai Pearson there goes quickest by 10th to Reese Linton, obviously. Kai and Reese finished first and second in the console tier last season, season 15 in Red Bull. They won the constructors by about 140 points. They were absolutely dominant in the Xbox side. Obviously, now recently moving over to PC as well. You can see in the name VRM, that stands for Vroom, which is a team they both recently signed to. Hence why they're in. Yes, they got VRM in their tag, and I think it's a really cool name, and yeah, it fits league racing perfectly, doesn't it, Vroom?
It's a brilliant name. Sorry, I just kind of impulsively said Vroom. It's just fun to say, isn't it? But we got a little bit of background information on both Reese and Kai from Joseph, very helpfully in the chat, saying Reese Linton is the reigning console champion. He teamed up with Kai Pearson, who was runner-up to him. Kai also raced in the console open on Friday, taking a comfortable win. And Nathan, I mean, with a resume like that, surely both of them are very deserving to be racing with some of the best esports drivers here that we have this evening. Shanika Clay, of course, started the race really well, but the late safety car really did spoil his chances of taking victory last time out in Bahrain. Of course, Nathan, you remember that safety car came out after he'd passed the pit lane, but not at the point where he could go ahead of the safety car. So himself, Jake Benham, I believe it was completely screwed over by that. I'm hoping for a good race for Shanika Clay in his home Grand Prix, qualifying off to a decent start for him at 28.751. Of course, these intermediate laps don't really mean anything at this point, but to be that much quicker than all your rivals, maybe it's a good sign for Shanika this evening.
Well, I think one person who normally has the intermediate lot is Louis Welsh. If you remember last time, he got eliminated by someone who originally wasn't meant to qualify. So Louis did just set a lap on the inters because he gets safely through to Q2. Then that driver decided, which was Ismail Fassi, I believe, decided to then set a lap on the soft, and it knocks Louis Welsh out of Q1. So yeah, I think he's got a bit more of a sentimental value with the intermediate tyres. He hasn't gone out this time. He's stayed in the pits. He's going to just go into the softs, I think, for this session. And also he's in the McLaren. Last time I believe he was in, I can't remember, was it an Aston Martin or something he was in last week?
Don't remember, to be completely honest, but he's in the McLaren this week. Of course, yet to set foot on the circuit. It seems like we've got less drivers that want to completely tank qualifying. Of course, you remember both Barry Burman and Nicolas Longuet not here, unfortunately, this evening. The pair of them started at the back, and Isfan Pookie did as well, but so far we've not seen Isfan go, can't retire from the session. There's only one man that's retired thus far, and that is Jack West. Of course, Jack West in the fight for a podium last time out in Bahrain, but was spun at the penultimate braking zone, turn number 13. Whether or not that was contact with, I believe, Jarno Opmeer, or if he just spun on his own on the curbing, which could really kill you, especially on the worn out tyres, which I believe he was on. So it was a real shame for Jack West that his race ended in that manner. But of course, it was a great day for Joseph Loke, the only man at the minute out on circuit on a lap. It was a fantastic showing from him. He was running in and around the top 10 for the majority of the race, but the late safety car really did help him, and he was able to fight on worn out soft tyres. Actually held his own against Ismail Fassi and Jarno Opmeer, ended up taking second position. So Joseph Loke definitely in his home Grand Prix this evening, Nathan, he's one to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely going to be one to keep my eye on, because that performance last week when he was on that 5-6 lap over soft, it was phenomenal. It looks like he's pretty much on the same time because his pace, he was matching the people on those better tyres, so absolutely phenomenal job from him. And also, there's a little bit of talking in the Discord about possibly a little bit of wet weather at the end of the race, which could create very interesting strategies. If it does go wet at the end, do you choose to stay on that normal strategy? Do you maybe try and go on hard all the way till when the rain arrives? That's something that, I think it was last season, wasn't it? Jarno, was it got a puncture or something?
Yeah,
I think it was either here or PSG, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
remember that race. I was with Brian in the commentary box. I think it was round number 3 or something. So really early on in the season, Jarno Opmeer and Alvaro Caraton stayed out right to the end. Both of them ending up getting punctures. I think Jarno still finished in the top 10, but Alvaro got that puncture a lap earlier, almost a full lap earlier than Jarno Opmeer. Somehow Jarno was able to survive a full extra run, which is enough to give him a little bit of time to come back into the pit lane and then recuperate. But yeah, the pair of them really did take a risk. Unfortunately, didn't work out for them. Maybe it can happen for them this evening. And Nathan, I'm wondering, is that why we're seeing less drivers come out on sets of the intermediate tyres? Because they might need them in the race if it will get wet towards the end. The British weather, of course, always serving up an absolute treat. See what happens this evening. But nevertheless, we have the first soft qualifying runs out on circuit. Ika Boehner in the Alfa Romeo. We just saw his teammate Joseph Loke come into the pit lane. Ika had a good race in his own right, finishing in the top 10. So Alfa Romeo off to a great start this season. So now he comes off the exit of the final corner, heading down the Hamilton straight and in towards turn number 1.
Yep, on board now with Ika, just heading through on his first lap, and this is the first lap as well on the soft tyre, and just getting out of the way of one of the cars that was the other Alfa Romeo, just heading out in towards turn 3 as well. A big slide in towards the braking zone there for Ika. That could definitely lose him a little bit of time on this opening lap. He comes through out of Aintree and through the loop at turns 4 and 5 now with a bit of a dose of DRS down in towards Brooklands corner at turn 7. He's going to just brake just after that 50-metre board, throw the car in and get down to 4th gear, get back on the power as early as you can as you prepare yourself for Luffield at the right hand, and just try and go a little bit wide with that later apex. Get a good run on the exit. You can always go wide on the rumble strip there at the exit of Luffield as you come through at the right hander at Woodcut and then in towards the infamous Cops corner. You can stick in 7th gear, just keep it foot to the floor as you come through. He keeps it in 8th. Ika does through there, so very nice indeed through that corner. Then he heads down in towards Magnussen Beckett. Just want to try and carry as much speed as you can, maximum speed through here, down to 7th, then you'll shift down to 6th as well, and down to 5th for Ika, then back on the power, back up the gears with the DRS, and just using a bit of a slipstream from that Mercedes as he goes with the 101.969 in that first and second set to split combined. He now heads down to Stowe corner, just throw the car in, carry as much speed as you can, and try not to go wide on the exit as you head down now in towards the chicane. This is the final couple of corners, Vel chicane, followed by Club at the final corner, turn 17, 18, and 19. Let's see what the first lap time of the session will be on this soft. It will be 25.009.
We'll see if anyone is able to contest that for the time being. Then Daniel Shelson off the exit of the final corner. We'll see what time it is for him, and he'll go immediately to the top of the order of 1 minute 24.822. Tash Gal dominating qualifying last week. Once again, he's on top here at the minute. His teammate for this evening, Philip Presnader, set a decent time of 1 minute 24.8 as well. Got 2 Ferraris in the final couple of corners. Let's have a look at Istvan Pookie at the minute. His teammate Dylan Warren just gone P5 at the moment. Alvaro Caraton has found his way up into 3rd as here comes Istvan. It's a disappointing start for him, a 25.0. Very unfortunate for his qualifying thus far. Let's have a look as now Max Wiesel, the first 1 minute 24.6 of the session. A great time from him, managing to nestle himself into that P1 slot. His teammate Shanika Clay is coming off the exit of the final corner. It's only P8 for the Red Bull driver. Now 2 McLarens. Xander Van Dyken will be the first one to come across the line. It's P6 for the time being. How about Louis Welch? Suffered a disappointing Q1 exit last week. It's unfortunately going to be the same fate for him as Jake Benham comes to the line. It's P7 for him. The Flying Dutchman, the season 15 champion, Jarno Opmeer now will be the next one to come across the line, then followed by Joseph Loke, who I believe is unfortunately backed off on his lap. I see lots of yellow flags down the hangar straight, so I think that Alfa Romeo driver has unfortunately given up on this run. Here comes Jarno Opmeer off the exit of the final corner. Can he match Max Wiesel at the top? He's only P5, but it's a decent enough lap from Jarno Opmeer. Will go into the 1 minute 24.8, so it's a good start for Mercedes today.
Yeah, the drop zone we have King Gondorp, Istvan Pookie, Louis Welch, Jack West and Joseph Loke. Jack already said before he's not going to qualify, but the other 4, I believe, have got the intentions of qualifying. So a big surprise to see Istvan Pookie down in the drop zone for Q1. Currently his teammate Dylan Warren also not very safe. He's currently P14 as that was Joseph Loke just popping himself into the top 4 with a 1 minute 24.808. But yeah, both the Ferraris were close to the drop zone, one of them in the drop zone. Same for the Aston Martins. I've got Keane in the drop zone and Duggan Hartland, the one at risk. So yeah, it seems the track definitely evolved over the first few laps because you saw the likes of Ika Baena that first lap was only a couple tenths off the top guys, and as more laps come through, and as the session got on over those next couple of minutes, Ika's now found himself in P16. So for him to be in Q1, I think would also be quite a surprise because from what we've seen in the past from him on this game and on the last game, he's always been a decent driver when it comes to qualifying. So to be in Q1 will definitely, I think, definitely lose some confidence for him when we go to the race in about 40 minutes time.
Yeah, it seems like Max Wiesel and Ishmael Fassi, the quickest two drivers at the minute, and they're a decent way ahead of everyone else in the pack. However, look at how close it is from 3rd down to 10th, all separated by 1/10 of a second. It's a big Alpine sandwich with an Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, Mercedes, Williams, and McLaren filling. So it's a very full stacked sandwich. See who's going to be enjoying that one later this evening. I thought Joseph Loke wasn't on a lap. I think I was watching on the mini-map Ika Baena going slowly, but it's a decent time from him there. Just what's that? Just over 1.25 tenths off the back of Max Wiesel, the quickest driver, well, one of the quickest drivers in that big meaty train in that top 10. We'll see what happens with 3 minutes left to go in the session. Alvaro Carreton believes he's safe in Q1. He'll retire on a 1 minute 24.843. We'll see if that comes to bite him later on at the end, as we'll see who is going to be the first one out on circuit. I believe once again it is Ika Baena.
Yeah, what's that from Alvaro? 0.8. He's a tenth and a half back from the drop zone. So to be fair, I'm quite surprised he called it so early to retire from the session. I thought he would have waited at least for a couple of us ahead of him to retire, maybe if anyone down retires. So yeah, we've seen it's quite similar to what we've seen Nicholas Longo do. Sometimes he's never really that safe, but he does just retire, so he can save himself a set of tyres and take that risk. Sometimes it works. There's been a couple of times where it's failed unfortunately, but you can see Alvaro going with that strat. But I don't think I think even if he ended up becoming unlucky and going out, I don't think he'd be too bothered. You can see everyone else ahead of him, Jarno, Daniel, Joseph, Hamash all also retiring. But then Xander Van Dyken, who's only about, 100th quicker than, 100th slower than Alvaro, sorry, he's out on track. So maybe, it's a bit of, you don't really know if it's going to go through or not, so just take that risk. And obviously those down decided to go out. Those in the top 7 decided to stay. But I think the likes of, you said Grandpa, Max Wiesel, Ishmael Fassi are probably more than enough safe. But the others, I think it'll be quite close when we come through in towards the final few laps in qualifying. But I think on the first day, it's probably one of the Alpines that'll be Philip Preschneider.
A bit embarrassing if all these guys got shown up by someone called TF10 Grandpa, considering the sport that we're in. So we'll see if anyone is able to trump Max Wiesel at the top of the order. Of course, Max Wiesel does, I believe, have some real-life racing experience. Actually, a lot of this grid has raced in real life before. Of course, Jarno Watmer, I believe, used to race in Formula Renault, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen on his YouTube channel, I think he posted a crash with Mick Schumacher when they were karting together. Of course, Joseph Loke, retiring in 4th position, is racing in GB3 this season. So it's great to see all these esports contenders having their making their mark on the track in real life. But we're coming to the end of Q1 and the final laps just about got underway. Here comes Philip Preschneider in through the first sector. Very technical through here. You want to use as much of the track as possible and get on the power as early as you can. Off the exit and on towards the Wellington straight, where we're going to see potentially the first overtaking opportunity around this circuit, reaching speeds of up to 326 kilometers per hour at the braking zone. Through now into Brooklands and Luffield, I believe this is. There's a lot of different names for all these corners, so do bear with me if I've forgotten a few of them. I know next up is Woodcut, this little kink down at the National Pit Straight and in towards the infamous Cops corner where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had their big crash just 2 years ago, as now Philip Preschneider flies through that corner and in towards the infamous Maggots and Beckett section, where you have to keep as much speed as you can. We'll turn on the telemetry to see just how he's tapping the brakes, going down into 6th gear, and then immediately back on the power through and on towards the hangar straight, improving by 600ths of a second through the first and second sector. It's a great lap so far for Philip Preschneider and is in fact quickest in Sector 2, so that could maybe cause some worries for the likes of Daniel Shelson, Jarno Watmer and Alvaro Carreton, who are a little bit lower down than some drivers. As I've just seen Philip Preschneider, he must have gone wide through Stowe Corner. Off the exit of the final corner, set to 25.009, a disappointing end for Philip Preschneider. We'll see that comes to bite him in the end as King Gondorp secures himself ever so slightly into the next session with a time good enough for P10. Here comes Ikabena and in towards P4 and safely into the next session as Istvan Pukki, very safe indeed as well. P2 for him at the minute. His teammate for the evening, Dylan Warren, comes across the line. It's P9 for him. Alvaro Caraton being relegated further and further down the order. It's causing a little bit of worry for the Spaniard. Now Duncan Hoffland gets himself into second. Reese Linton has found his way into third. Here comes Shanaka Clay off the exit, and he goes quickest of them all. A great time there from Shanaka. What about Xander Van Dyken? He'll come across the line and go into P5. Jake Benham, could he eliminate Alvaro Caraton from this session? Indeed he will. P2 for Jake Benham, just behind Shanaka Clay, the two leaders from the Bahrain Grand Prix last time out. And Alvaro Caraton, it was a big gamble for him to retire in P7, and he's come up with egg on his face.
Yeah, well, for me as a commentator to predict I'm right, maybe they should put me in the engineering team over at Williams, because I think we all knew that that was a bit of a risk, and he took the risk. It's like what we've seen Nicholas Longo do, as I've said before, and unfortunately that didn't work out for him. But we have a look now at the classification of Q1. Shanaka Clay was quickest, 47 thousandths quicker than Jake Benham in second, then Max Wiesel third, Duncan Hoffland in the top four. Reese Linton on his opening session, he finishes P5 in qualifying, 1 for boys. Van Dijk and Istvan Pukki, Ismail Fassi, Tamas Gal and Ika Bena in the top 10. Then we have Josie Floke, Daniel Hjeldsen, you know what, Mir, Dylan Warren making it through, and Louis Welch. Oh,
did he crash?
Out. Yeah, he crashed, didn't he? So that's unfortunately knocked him out. More luckiness here for Louis Welch. So he's out in 15th. Then we have Alvaro Caraton, King Gondorp, Philip Prejeda, Kai Pearson and Jack West at the session. So that makes me think now, will it be 14th to 11th out or 14th to 10th out?
It's going to be 14th to 11th. So Louis Welch is effectively in the next session, but he will not be taking part in it because he's just binned it.
In AI.
Louis' car DNF'd in AI. That is heartbreaking for him. Poor Louis. And what... It's supposed to... Esports is starting soon. Come on, guys. They've got cars crashing in between qualifying. So Louis Welch won't be taking part in this qualifying session. So Q2, which is about to get underway now, will only have 14 runners. Of course, Jack West retired in Q1, so we only knew 4 drivers were going out. It's going to be the same situation here in Q2. I'll bring us back over. We'll have a look at Ismail Fassi, of course, winner last time out in Bahrain, and the lone Williams in this session. Can he go 2 for 2? We'll have to wait and see. It was a great session for him, getting himself safely into Q2. We'll see if he's able to fight his way into the final parts of qualifying tonight.
Yeah, well, we saw last week, obviously, he did some race runs in the qualifying session, so we haven't actually seen him qualify properly this season. So this is our first time we get to see what Ismail Fassi can do, and if he can get himself in towards Q3, maybe fight for that pole position. We know that many times last season he was always near the top of the grid, so I think he's definitely capable of getting himself to fight for pole. It's just about what he can do through this Q2 and Q3 session and what tyres he chooses to use and how many sets he uses. All that comes into play as well for all drivers who are participating here tonight. Yeah, it's going to be the first out on track. He's actually quite far ahead of the next driver, which I believe is Reese Linton. It is, who's as Joseph put in the chat, Sav, that's his Xbox name, PSR Sav, I believe he was known as. But yeah, making himself through to Q2 comfortably as well. I believe he's in the top 5 in Q1. It's a great showing, isn't it? Moving over to PC. I think he's been on PC it's been about 3 or 4 days. I saw a tweet on Twitter a couple of days ago saying that he got a PC. So yeah, already up to where he was on Xbox on PC within a few days. So that is definitely very, very good signs.
Absolutely. He's going to allow for one of the Red Bulls to go through. That is Max Wiesel getting past, and of course Max Wiesel, he did an incredible job in Q1, of course retiring early, saving himself a set of the tyres, and look what he's doing, he's abusing those softs, heading in towards the Vale chicane. I think this is a scrub set of the tyres, so we shouldn't really take these laps too seriously, but I'd imagine they're already going to be screaming at this point as he heads in towards Abbey Corner. This completely flat turn number 1. I mean, these modern day Formula 1 cars are a spectacle to watch around a circuit like Silverstone, where it's majority high speed corners. This is where F1 really does shine, and we'll see sort of the biggest disparity I think possible with other series of racing. So it's great to see how these Formula 1 cars can just handle through these corners with such downforce 27.231 for Max Wiesel in that first sector as he heads his way now in towards Luffield corner, where he'll be a little bit sketchy on the accelerator. I'd imagine in the lower division some drivers maybe will light the tyres up a little bit too much through that corner and then spin around. I know that I've not been averse to that in my league racing time all those years ago. At this point, I've definitely not stepped foot in a sim rig the same way since my league racing days. But these guys still keeping it going here in 2023. It's now Max Wiesel into the final sector at 1.2.294. Don't believe that this is going to be lighting the world on fire, but we'll see what he can do as he heads now through the final few corners, where we've seen an invalidation from Philip Presnader in Q1, a heartbreaking way to go out of qualifying, as now Max Wiesel returns to the pit lane, will save this set of the tyres. Same goes for Ismail Fassi. Let's have a look at Jan Ottmere. He is going to complete this lap, heading in towards the Vale chicane now, as he slides his way pretty much through these corners. And I don't think it's going to be the most serious lap in the world for Ottmere, but he comes across the line at 25.1. Still a decent bank on what is presumably a scrub set of tyres. Yeah,
it's not very often I've seen everyone pretty much everyone heading to the pits. Obviously, Shanaka's going to set his lap time. It'll be a 25.022. Yeah, I don't think there's been many times where I've seen everyone who's on their scrub set of tyres all enter into the pits. So that's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, it's Joseph Floke's out on track. He's on an 8 lap, so he won't be going back into the pits, I don't think, this time around. So we'll see what he can do on his tyres. Probably on a scrub set as well. I don't really know. Unfortunately, it's one of the many things that we don't get to view as a spectator. We don't get to see the weather. We don't get a countdown for the race. And I think the biggest thing for me is we don't get to see what tyres the drivers are on. It'd be great if we could see if they're on a used or new set, because sometimes it gives you kind of false things, isn't it? False ideas when you go into a hot lap. You see someone do a lap, a set that's 3/10 slower. You've just got to hope that it's on a scrub set. Otherwise, they could be on a new set, and you completely miss and make a big mistake.
I think that the spectator menu just in general needs a bit of an overhaul, because it's really not what it should be. I mean, there's plenty of other games where you've got proper like replay cameras and stuff, and like all the live timings for in the sessions and whatnot. And I actually played a little bit of NASCAR Racing 2003, which has a replay, like an in-race replay viewer, and that game is 20 years old. That game is older than me, so yeah, it does beg the question as to whether EA should look into making the spectator menu a little bit more sort of detailed. I'd love to see at the bottom, comparisons between Joseph Loke on his lap at the minute and Shanika Clay, kind of like what we see in real life Formula 1 cars, and of course whether or not they're on a scrub set of the tyres or using a fresh set of the softs. But yeah, maybe that's one to make a little. Put it in EA's pigeonhole. We'll see what happens with that. But Joseph Loke on this lap looking pretty decent. 1:01.723 through the first and second sectors. Now in towards the final couple of corners for him. It's looking like decent enough lap from the young Englishman as off the exit of the final corners. We'll see what he can do through club the final turn through here. We'll see what it is. And he comes to the line at 24.828 to start the session for Joseph Loke.
Yeah, it's a decent banker lap. A couple of quick in Shanaka and Yarno. Obviously, I believe he might have been on a new set, because it's only attempted to off what Max Wiesel set in Q1. So yeah, I don't think it's. I think he's probably on a new set there, but he did decide, didn't he, after his first lap. So he did have an extra set of softs to take into this session. Everyone else, I believe, now on new soft tyres, all heading round the circuit. The first one will be Duncan Hoffman, I believe, just heading down in towards Stowe, followed by, I believe, Tamas Gal, and then you have the Alfa Romeos, the Red Bulls also heading through that middle sector now to begin their second lap. So we'll go on board with Duncan Hoffman as he heads down slowly in towards the chicane. I'm sure we'll get on the power nice and early, get himself a decent lap time. So he comes through out of the final corner to set up his lap, and that's a bit of a slide, so that'll don't know, I'm a little bit of top speed as he comes through down towards Abbey at turn 1. So we'll go on board with him as he heads through in towards turn 1 to the right hand side, back to the left as you come through Farm Curve, then into the braking zone at turn 3. Just want to break around that 50-metre board, throw the car to the inside, use as much apex as you can without hitting those horrible orange curves on the inside of the apexes. And you head through it at turns 4 and turn 5, back on the power nice and early, get yourself down with a bit of DRS in towards Brooklands. Cunningham will see what he can do in that first sector. 26.972 for Duncan Hoffman, so about a tenth quicker than what Joseph Loke did, so currently on course for a very good lap as he heads through in towards Luffield and Woodcut, the end of this site in the middle sector. Then he'll head down in towards Cops at turn 9. And to be fair, drivers can find quite a lot of time through Cops Corner because you can deny yourself a lot of top speed if you just take a bit of a wider line through there. And Duncan, I think, taking pretty much a perfect line through there, so he'll take as much time as he can through that part of the circuit in towards this squiggly section of Magnussen Beckett. Just want to carry as much max speed as you can without going a little bit too wide. DRS again down towards Stoke Corner, 101.672. So I believe that's about a 10 to 2 quicker than what Joseph Loke did. As he heads down in towards Stoke Corner, back to the right-hand side, throw the car and get back on the power, down in towards the chicane. You want to brake just at that starting of the curb on the right-hand side. Throw the car through, try not to hit that orange curb. Bit of a, yeah, definitely not an ideal line for Duncan at all. He'll go so long, but he will go quickest with a 24.680. So you can see already the track evolving very, very quickly. There's more drivers coming through. Tamas Gout, the next one to head through towards the line.
Yeah, we'll see what happens as Tamas Gow, as you said, coming through now the final corner. I'm watching though Max Wiesel at the minute. It was very impressive at the end of that first session. Tamas Gow will go into P2. What about Max Wiesel? A great time from him. 1 minute 24.596 as the two Ferraris are coming through the final couple of corners. This Van Pookie is on for a decent lap at the minute. It's P5 for him, a 1 minute 24.7. What about his teammate Dylan Warren? P8, not the greatest time in the world for him. As we'll have a look to see who is up next. I believe it's Xander Van Dyke, and behind Ishmael Fassi. Fassi with a great attempt to go in the exact same lap time as Reese Linton. Reese Linton really impressing here in his PC debut. Of course, the reigning season 15 console champion, and he's doing a great job here on the PC. Xander Van Dyke will cross the line just 2,000 slower than Tamas Gow to go into P6. And how about that for a drop zone? Star-studded at the minute. Ika Boehner, actually no, Ika's sorry, in that top 10. Dylan Warren, Shanika Clay, Jarno Otmir and Jake Benham all in the drop zone at this point in time. Jarno, we saw him, no actually he wasn't out on circuit, so we've not seen Jarno or Joseph Loke come back out onto the track. Seems like the pair of them leaving it to their final runs. Joseph Loke is just about in the fight for a top 10, but you know, if he doesn't get a lap in and then just two drivers in behind him improve, he'll be out of this session. So everything's going to get a little bit more tense down in that Alfa Romeo garage, especially with both of them in the drop zone at the minute, well, nearing the drop zone at the minute. But at the front of the order, I mean, Max Wiesel once again incredibly impressive here in qualifying 2, the only driver on a 1 minute 24.5.
Yeah, I was on board with Dylan Warren. He's rushing to get back to the pits, and he overtook, I think it was Ika Boehner around the outside of the cops, and it come very close to contact, so made my heart jump for a moment, and that was very close between the two. You can see them all now just heading back in towards the pit lane. Jake Benham hasn't got a lap time, sorry, in Q2 at the moment. His teammate Yorome didn't head out on tracks, that's why he hasn't got one. But yeah, both Mercedes out of Q2 at this current time. Obviously, they'll have another run on a new set of tyres at the end of this session. But all it takes now for Yola and Drake is one small mistake, and that could be it for them here in Q2, which would be the last thing they want. Around a circuit like this, it can cause difficulties when overtaking when it comes to the DRS train. So if they can't get themselves out of Q2, there might be in a spot of bother if it comes to the race. And also with the fact of the unpredictability of the weather, anything can happen. And that definitely isn't going to be good if you're starting 13th and 14th.
Jake Benham comes into the pit lane now. Now we have no drivers out on circuit. As the session's gone on, we've got a little bit more cloud coverage along the circuit. Still blue skies peeking through, but there are some thick grey clouds at the minute in that sky. I wonder if in Q3 we could see some potential rain. But now with just 3.5 minutes left to go in Q2, I think it's a good time to mention that we've just crossed over 1,000 viewers, and so we want to hear from you. We pride ourselves on being World Online Racing here, and so we want to know where you are watching from in the world. Both myself and Nathan commentating from England, but last week we saw some incredible responses, so please do let us know where you are watching this race from, and we'll read out some of your responses. We are interconnected here in WOR, and it's very exciting to see and read out where everyone is actually watching from. We've got someone from Poland watching. We've got another fellow Englishman here, Milan Grita from England. Two people from the Netherlands, Albert Van Ham, and then Rick. I'm Vibeng. I can't really say that name,
Oh,
unfortunately.
maybe.
I don't know how to pronounce that one. Belgium says Zotar. Cuba says Poland. Madagascar says Zeth O. And oh my, they're coming in too quickly. I can't read any of them out. I see Milton Keynes in there. There's America, South Africa, Spain, Slovenia, Verona, there's Gibraltar. I mean, how about that? I mean, everywhere, Nathan. Absolutely everywhere. We have got people watching this evening, and it really just it's so great to see that we have such a big reach all over the world here in WOR.
Yeah, well, compared to last week, we haven't got anyone from the moon or Narnia. It's a bit different this time. Everyone's actually on Earth this time, and also someone's from the country of Great Nathan. Yeah, never heard of that one before, so that's a new one to me.
The greatest.
Yeah. Oh.
I wonder if anyone's from the country of Great Daniel. Just as you've mentioned that, Nathan, we've got someone watching from Jupiter, someone watching from Voyager Probe, which I think might be the biggest satellite that's ever, or like the satellite that's gone furthest out in our solar system. You're all a bunch of jokers, I'll tell you that. But coming to the end of qualifying, we've got just about a minute left to go. The first drivers out on circuit, currently 1 and 2 at the minute. Actually, no, sorry, that's Shanaka Clay following Duncan Hoffland at the minute. But Duncan Hoffland currently sitting in second position at the minute on a 1 minute 24.680. It's interesting to see that all drivers are out on circuit. All 14 are in this session. Normally we see the top 4, maybe 5 retire at the end of Q2, but it seems like everyone is on thin ice at the minute, so there's plenty of room for loads of guys to improve on their laps at the minute. It's a very tight-knit bunch here in WOR Tier 1, but Duncan Hoffman getting his lap underway through the loop and flat on the power, heading in towards the Wellington straight, where we're going to see the first overtaking opportunity along this Silverstone circuit. Of course, such great history here in the world of Formula 1. Duncan Hoffman, unfortunately, down in the first sector. It's not irretrievable. He's only down by 200ths of a second. That's not the ideal start to a lap for the Dutchman, as now he heads through Woodcote on towards the national pit straight, where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had their crash in 2021. Down into 7th through Cops Corner. Then as the clock strikes 0, no new laps can be started, and I believe it's one of the AlphaTauri drivers was the last one over the line, so we have to watch out for either Reese Linton or Daniel Shelson. As now here comes Duncan Hoffman in towards the third sector. He is finding an improvement through here, and he's actually purple in sector 2, so it's a great effort from Duncan Hoffman at the minute, righting his wrongs of the first sector in sector 2. Can he tie it all together in the final part of the lap? Now through the Vale chicane for the final time in Q2, hitting his apexes absolutely perfectly through that complex of corners and through club for the final time to complete this lap, laying down the gauntlet with a 1 minute 24.547. Shanaka Clay gets close, but not close enough. Will sit in P2 for the time being. Here comes Tamas Gal up towards the line. Will split the pair of them with a 1 minute 24.562. One of the Mercedes of Jana Watmir is coming through the final couple of corners. It's quickest for the Flying Dutchman, a 1 minute 24.520. Great attempt from him there. Joseph Loke in the drop zone at the minute is next up to cross the line and will find his way into P7. Looks like Istvan Pukki is in a spot of bother, as now Ishmael Fassi come across the line. A decent effort from him there into P7. Xander Van Dyken is now coming through the final corner with Jake Benham following in tow. Xander unfortunately out of this session. Here comes Jake Benham to the line, making it a 1-2 for Mercedes, as now here comes Reese Linton, I believe, unfortunately, after his great efforts in Q1, unfortunately, will be eliminated from this session. But Mercedes, after being 13th and 14th throughout this entire session, an incredible comeback to finish 1 and 2 in Q2. Jana Watmir quickest of them all then, just 16 thousandths clear of Jake Benham. Duncan Hoffman third, Tamas Gal fourth, Max Wiesel in 5th ahead of his teammate Shanaka Clay. Daniel Shelson in 7th, 8th for Ishmael Fassi, 9th for Joseph Loke, and then Ikebana rounding out that top 10. Eliminated from this session, we have Istvan Pukki, Xander Van Dyken, Reese Linton, and Dylan Warren. But how about that, Nathan? What a session from the Mercedes duo.
Yeah, indeed, and it's quite surprising to see both throws out, Istvan and Dylan, out of Q2. And also I noticed as the session started to unfold, the track got a lot darker and darker. The clouds really started coming in over those last couple of minutes. So we'll see what that can bring for qualifying 3, as to whether we'll just carry over, I think, to this next session when we have 12 minutes. 10 drivers fighting for pole. Mercedes looking very strong. At one point, we're thinking, they might struggle to get through to Q3 as Jack Bennett made a mistake and Jarno didn't set a second lap. But then when they come through with their final runs, great job to put them 1 and 2 in qualifying 2. We're just going to see if they can do the same in Q3. I think they'd love to start 1 and 2 in the race. I noticed as well, only 3 teams have both their drivers through into Q3, which is Mercedes, Red Bull, and Alfa Romeo. So we know that in the constructor stands, I believe Alfa Romeo do lead, don't they, with Ika and Joseph. So we'll see what they can do. They're looking very strong to get both drivers through into Q3. But Mercedes definitely going to be a real threat to many drivers, I think, in this session.
Absolutely. I'll bring us on to the race scene. You can see the cloud coverage is paramount at the minute. It was clear blue skies at the beginning of Q1. Now, just 30 minutes later, it's gotten all dark here in Silverstone. It's pretty typical of the British weather, especially recently. Nathan, I don't know if it's the same way you've been, but it's been absolutely terrible as of recent here. We're getting towards the winter months where it's just incredibly cold here in the United Kingdom, and I think it's gonna, the drivers are going to be feeling the same here in Silverstone. First out on circuit is Duncan Hoffman, followed by Shanika Clay. These two were the first drivers across the line actually at the end of Q2. We'll see what they can do at the beginning of the final session. 10 drivers fighting for pole. I think now is a better time than ever with a completely blank slate at the minute to pose the question to everyone watching in the live chat, who you think will be snatching pole position at the end of this session. Nathan, who have you got?
I'll be boring and just say Jarno Opmeer. I think it's a very it's a very obvious thing to say. He's always one of the quickest in qualifying in the race. So yeah, I'll go with Jarno. Bit of a boring one, but I've got to give myself a chance of at least getting it right. What about you, Dan? Who are you going to go for?
I mean, you went with Tamas Gal last week, so I'm pretty sure that's a bit unfair now to go with Jarno Opmeer. So, God, where am I going to go?
You asked me first.
I'll go with Ishmael Fassi. You know what, Ishmael, he's been a little bit, he's been kind of in the lower end of Q1 and Q2 in terms of making it here, but he's been able to get into the top 10, of course, winning last time out in Bahrain. I'll go with him to take pole position. Actually, that might be a bad prediction given the fact that he started 15th last race, so maybe qualifying isn't his strong suit. But to be fair, Jarno Opmeer is also not known for his qualifying pace. He really does make up for it in the race, so it really is all up in the air to see who is taking pole position. But yeah, Duncan Hoffman gets his lap underway. Let's see some of the see some of the predictions in the live chat. We've got Luke Zorn saying Jarno. Zotar says Duncan to take pole position. As I'm sorry, the live chat is a little bit interesting at the minute, Nathan. I can't focus at all.
Yeah, I've been having a little wonder over myself, and there's some very confusing comments as I look back on track after look at the chat, and I see someone take out a brake marker board. So very interesting moments, and Duncan Hoffman nearly hitting the back of a Red Bull.
Yeah, they're all getting. Sorry, they're all getting in the way of Duncan Hoffman at the minute. So I hope that Duncan's not on a proper push lap, because he's just been held up by everyone, possibly at the worst sector of the track. He's still going on this lap as it's very bleak at the minute here in Silverstone. Opening up the DRS, we'll see what his improvement is in the first sector. You know what? That's a pretty good lap. So maybe he didn't get held up all too much that I thought. I was kind of tilted away from my monitor, if I'm being honest, just trying not to crack up on screen. But here comes Duncan Hoffman through the final corners. We'll see what he can do. He's got Shanika Clay just in tow behind him, is now off the exit of the final corner he goes. Going to be a 1 minute 24.896 to start off the session. Not the greatest lap in the world for Duncan Hoffman. Shanika Clay, I believe, was invalid on his lap, so he's not going to get a time on the board. But now, multiple drivers in behind, they'll get their session underway. Yeah,
Shanika Clay just heading through, and I don't think he's used all his battery, so he's not on a lap time. Otherwise, he's going to have a very slow time if he sets it with 13% battery. But Max Fiesel and the other Red Bull, he's on a lap time. He's just heading through in towards Abbey and Farm curves at turns 1 2, down in towards turn 3, throw it to the inside, and you can see, sometimes I look at when I drive and think, I did a good first set. But then when I look at some of these apex these drivers are taking. They're absolutely flying through, and sometimes I think, oh, they're not going to stop the car, but the car just turns. You know, the rotation these drivers have in these cars are very, very good, and it shows that maybe some of my slow driving is due to the setup, because they're able to just shut the car in without no worries at all. Max Wiesel currently on a very decent lap so far, just heading through in towards Woodcut, and then down this little bit of a back straight in towards Copse Corner. So far, very good lap in the Red Bull. Only one lap time set at the moment, which is Duncan Hoffland, who's got a 1 minute 24.896. That definitely will not seem through to pole at all. As in Q2, I think we saw a 1 minute 24.5 from the Arno Otmir. So Max Wiesel just coming through now out of that middle set to run a little bit more at the exit brackets, but that doesn't harm him too much through Chapel. It's a 101.565, so about 3 tenths quicker than what Duncan Hoffland did in that first lap. So we'll see what Max Wiesel is able to manage here in the first lap of this qualifying session for him. Down in towards the chicane. Very nice so far. Get back on the penalty as you come through out of club at the final corner, turn 19. Up to the line of 24.488, the fastest time we've seen so far from Max. That's a really, really quick lap time. A few more still coming through. That's Ika Boehner as well. Heading to the line, Josie Float goes third fastest. Daniel goes second. Ika only manages fifth position there with a 25.004. Jona Otmir, he's just heading through. He does a 101.599, and Tamas Cow, 8 thousandths quicker than Max Wiesel. These lap times, Dan, are getting quicker and quicker. Anyone could take part at this point.
I should have went with Tamas Gal for my prediction for pole position, or Max Wiesel. Never mind, I'll take it all back. Ismail Fassi to the line of 1 minute 24.424. A great effort from him. He's been a bit quiet so far in this session as Jake Benham comes off the exit at the final corner. 24.8 from him. Disappointing run, I'd say, for the young Englishman. But yeah, Ismail Fassi been quiet so far in qualifying, but now he's ready to flex his muscles. Of course, championship leader heading into this round. It is only, of course, round number 2, but in towards the final parts of qualifying, confidence for the young Spaniard's got to be at an all-time high.
Yeah, and the track's just getting darker and darker. I hope there's no rain. I don't think there will be. But still, yeah, it's getting a lot darker. That'll obviously make the track go cooler, which I believe should make the track quicker, as long as it doesn't go to about 3 degrees, like what we could have seen at Las Vegas this weekend. So yeah, the track should get quicker, I believe, if they go on towards that colder track temperature. So Ismail Fassi currently on provisional pole. Obviously, we didn't see him qualify last week in Bahrain. He started 15th, ended up winning. So if he can win from 15th, I'm sure he can definitely win from first. So far, Ismail Fassi doing a very good job for Williams this season. Tamas Gal as well. I believe he was on pole, wasn't he, last time out in Bahrain? Now couldn't sit on the front row. Hasn't had the best luck when it comes to the actual race itself, but in qualifying, Tamas Gal, I'd say, he's definitely an underdog coming into this season. I didn't think we'd be seeing him start on the front row and taking pole positions.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people as well in the live chat asking about when esports is starting. Actually, this is F1 Esports this evening, so yeah, there's your answer. Ismail Fassi looking like he's maybe in the hot seat to be the new F1 Esports champion. And if you're wondering where the likes of Nico, Barry and Lucas are, they all got eliminated in Q1 and Q2. These are the best 10 drivers in the world here this evening, as now Jake Benham comes into the pit lane. 4 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Ismail Fassi quickest of them all at the minute, ahead of Tamas Gal, and then Max Wiesel in third. 3 names which have been rising up the ranks in the world of F1 Esports, and it's great to see them leading the way in qualifying. Jona Otmir, of course, 2-time F1 Esports champion and a 2-time WOR champion. Doing a great job so far. Daniel Shelson, gotta say, I'm very happily surprised by what he's doing this evening. Of course, I remember season 13, I think it was. He was, maybe it was season 14. One of the seasons, he had a great time, especially in qualifying and especially in the wets. Maybe if we're seeing wet weather in the race, could be the Daniel Shelson show. I mean, Nathan's a very talented grid, still very tight at the top of the order. I'll bring up the gaps to the leaders. Daniel Shelson is down in 5th at the minute, but he's only a 10th off the back of Ismail Fassi. So it's an incredibly close at qualifying, and we'll see who's able to take the pole position.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously Daniel last season in Tier 2, he was second in the championship. The season before, season 14, he was the championship leader, so I think he's definitely deserved of a Tier 1 spot, and he's definitely doing a great job so far. Had a decent round in Bahrain, looking to possibly start in the top 5 here in Britain and qualifying himself ahead of Jake Benham, which is definitely something he'll be proud of if he can manage it in the last couple of minutes. But Shanaka Clay, I'm expecting a good lap time from him. Currently got no lap time on the board after an invalidation in his first run. So yeah, I hope we can see him possibly in that top 5, top 3 area. I think that's definitely possible from Shanaka Clay. We know as of recent he's been very quick in the qualifying and in the race, but sometimes late safety cars and all that stuff really doesn't help him at all. He ends up coming on the wrong end of the stick every single time. So hopefully a race can go well for Shanaka Clay. He can put himself into where he really deserves us. Then we have our last driver out on track, which is Jake Benham, just heading through in towards turn 3. But yet again, we've got about 30 seconds before everyone starts their lap, so let us know quickly who you think will take pole position, if you haven't already said so.
Yeah, myself, I've gone with Ismail Fassi. Nathan's gone with Jarno Opmeer. 2 drivers in the top 5 at the minute. Ismail Fassi currently on provisional pole position and one of the last drivers out on circuit. We'll see who comes out best there. But it is Shanaka Clay, the first out on the circuit for the final runs in qualifying. We'll see what he can do through Stowe. He's got to warm up the tyres as much as he can to start off this lap completely full on the battery as well. This is going to be the quickest that they have been all qualifying long. This is when every single millisecond matters. As now Shanaka Clay through the final corners at Vale and Club. We'll see what he can do as he comes across the line to begin the final lap of this session for him in towards Abbey Corner through the Hamilton Straight, completely flat in these modern day Formula 1 cars, keeping it in 8th gear through here, heavy braking in towards this next right-hander, utilising all the circuit possible, trying to maximise as much speed as he can and run ever so slightly wide actually through that right-hander. I believe a Villagey on the marbles ever so slightly, could sacrifice a little bit of time for Shanaka Clay, but nevertheless in towards the end of this first sector. It's a 27.003 for Shanaka Clay. Of course, no delta to reference to. This is first lap actually in this session, so we're really in the dark as to where Shanaka Clay is actually looking to go at the moment, but we'll continue along following this Red Bull driver this evening in towards now Copse Corner, completely flat in these modern day Formula 1 cars. Of course, formerly before 2010 it was the turn number 1. Now it's halfway along the circuit in through Maggots and Beckett, and then flat out through Chapel. Shanaka Clay up in towards now Purple actually in sector 2, so it's looking really good for Shanaka as he heads in towards the final corner, the final couple of corners at Stowe. Be careful not to run too wide through here. Snap of oversteer for Shanaka Clay could sacrifice a little bit of time for him as the clock has struck 0. No new laps can be started from this point onwards. Here comes Shanaka Clay off the exit at the final corner. Where is he going to go? It's only P6, a disappointing end to qualifying for Shanaka Clay. Duncan Hoffman improving by just over 0.2 of a second. Where will he put his Aston Martin? It's P2 and onto the front row for the time being, but Max Wiesel is finding an almighty improvement in the first and second sector to come across the line. A 1 minute 24.310, an incredible lap from the German there. Jarno Opmeer cannot snatch pole position, unfortunately. It's only a 24.343 from him. One of the Alfa Romeos of Joseph Lote comes to line. Ika Boehner is just behind him on circuit. It's only P9, unfortunately, for Ika there. What about Daniel Shelson? Unfortunately, has invalidated on his attempt. Ismail Fassi improving ever so slightly, only by 0.5 of a second. This might not be good enough for pole position for Ismail Fassi. Can he get himself onto the front row of the grid to come across the line? He finds an improvement, but it's not enough to jump ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Jake Benham is the last driver to come across the line, and that is pole! Jake Benham's gone quickest. P1 for Jake Benham. It took us out of the screen completely there, but Jake Benham snatches it at the death of qualifying, and wow, what a time that is from him. A 1 minute 24.257 from the Englishman in his home Grand Prix. A great lap, going 0.5 clear of Max Wiesel. Opmeer in third, fourth for Fassi. 5th is Joseph Loke, 6th Duncan Hoffland, 7th is Tamas Gal, 8th Daniel Shelson, and Shanaka Clay 9th, and then Ika Boehner is in 10th. But Jake Benham snatching it when we thought qualifying was over. We thought it was going to go the way of Max Wiesel. Jake Benham had other plans. He'll start this British Grand Prix, Nathan, on pole position.
Well, one thing is for sure today, he is not Jake Benham. He did a great lap there. 0.5 clear of the field. The only one into the 1 minute 24.2 is his teammate Jarno, who I predicted for pole, starts in third. I will still give myself the prediction correct because it was a Mercedes.
You get 0.5 point. I guess you're going to have 0.5 point there. We need like
so 1-1 what? 1.5? You're on 0.
All right. We're not keeping score, Nathan, but all right. If you want to play that game, we'll check it out at the end of the season. But yeah, we've got a lobby restart coming now, so we'll see. We'll see. We've got a little bit of time to digest what happened in qualifying. I'm gonna also restart my F1 game actually, just so maybe the tier 10 grandpa can be updated to Max Wiesel. But Nathan, coming to the end of that session, I mean, you said it's not Binham today, but don't count your chickens. You still got 26 laps of the British Grand Prix to face, and with rain potentially at the end of this session, the job's only half done for all of the drivers this evening, and it could be incredibly unpredictable.
It could, and that's something I think we always want to see, unpredictability. I prefer unpredictability with weather rather than safety cars. It creates a bit more racing. But yeah, absolutely anything can happen. We know sometimes that turn one here can be a bit of a killer, and we can see people end up spinning around and being able to raise that turn one because it is quite a harsh first corner, straight to the right at as much speed you can take through there. Obviously, drivers on the hards will be a bit slower. People on the softs might have to lift off and struggle to get through in towards that first corner. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting opening lap, I think. Obviously, with the DRS as well, that'll also play into factor for many drivers. We know the DRS trains sometimes as well can sometimes cause issues for those that are a bit further back. So I think drivers starting, around that Q2 area will probably struggle a bit. They might want to start on a bit of a different strategy to try and push through the field as quick as possible, try and make something work. If not, they might have to just try and play on the strategy itself when it comes to the pit stops. But with rain being possible, there isn't going to be rain, unfortunately. Luke's ruined the party for us.
No rain then.
It was raining, but now it's going to be dry, which is a shame.
It's okay. I think a dry race makes for better racing. It's a shame there's not really any unpredictability with it, but yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's fine, and I'm actually just recalling back on season 13, I think it was, at the beginning of the British Grand Prix, Jake himself started in 9th position, and by the end of the first lap was leading the Grand Prix. That's one of the most viewed clips on the WOR YouTube channel. It's got 107,000 views. It's the 4th most viewed video on this YouTube channel. It's of Jake Benham going from 9th to 1st at the beginning of the British Grand Prix. Granted, he was on a set of the soft compound tyres when everyone else was on hards or mediums. This was also on F1 22, so when that really wasn't a viable strategy at all. But still, 9th to 1st in one lap, incredibly impressive from Jake Benham. He's starting at the front this time. Just keep my fingers crossed he doesn't end lap 1 in P9.
Yeah, well, now it's saying there is going to be light rain. So it's changing constantly. We're going from no rain to possibly light rain at the end. Well, and also I believe we're on approximate as well, so it could not even be that. But yeah, we're going to try and get everyone in as soon as possible so we can get started with this race, which I'm very excited for. I think it'll be a really, really fun race. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping that we get someone else at the top as well winning, so we can have a bit more people involved in that championship fight. Remember last season, it wasn't... it was a little bit like F1 2023, wasn't it? With Verstappen. Jarno, after a few rounds, just absolutely ran away. There was nothing stopping him at all. He was literally the Flying Dutchman at that point through the season. This season started strong with a P3 back in Bahrain. Here in Silverstone, he's starting in the top 3. So yeah, depending on what he does in this race, he could possibly look to win the championship leader, without taking victory so far. So we'll see what he's able to do. But lots of Ismail Fassi also looking strong. His teammate Jake Benham. We'll see what happens at Mercedes. Maybe a bit of team play comes between those two. We don't know what happened, but I think we're definitely in store for a very exciting race. And I'm repeating what I'm saying because, we're at that point where we've kind of spoke about everything, so we're just going to try and waffle on until everyone gets in. Dylan sorts the lobby out so we can head off into the 26-lap race.
And you know what, Nathan? I think it's a great time I think it's the time for a little word from our sponsors at Next Level Racing. Join us on the other side of this quick little ad break. Welcome back, everyone, here in the intermission room, just getting ready to head into this race. Everyone is loading into the lobby. We'll see what happens in this Grand Prix. One name that's already caught my eye that I actually just completely forgotten about, Nathan. Alvaro Carreton starting from 16th. It was a very disappointing end to qualifying that ended very quickly. Of course, retiring from P7, ended up finishing in 16th and was eliminated from qualifying. So we'll see what Alvaro can do. But Nathan, another name that I'm also looking out for in this race is this Van Pookie, starting down in, I think, P12. We normally see him most of the time around the top 5, honestly. He's been incredibly quick on this F1 23 game, and of course winning last time, and I believe it was Saudi Arabia in season 15. I think he might have actually won twice in season 15. So he's a name that we should see in the top 10, starting in P12. I mean, he's not that far off, but around a circuit where overtaking would be quite difficult due to the DRS trains. See what happens today, and 26 laps. It's a long race, of course, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. And another driver I forgot about as well, Dan, is Jack West. The driver you know very, very well. I think he's starting at the back of the grid in 20th, so we'll see what he can do from all the way down there. But yeah, there's lots of drivers that aren't really in the top 10 that we normally see in there. Jack West, Van Pookie, Dylan Warren, Woolmake, and obviously Alvaro Carreton, all going to be charging through the field. So we'll see what they're able to do in the race. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting. We'll have a lot of quicker drivers trying to work their way through the field. The drivers at the front might start dropping back depending on what tyres are on. So yeah, I think the first few laps could be a little bit messy with different strategies and many drivers, many different skills all around the whole grid. But yeah, I'm all for it. I think we've got a very, very exciting race ahead, and we've got everyone in the session. Jake Benham was the last to join, so I think now Dylan Warren is able to get the grid sorted. So in the next minute or two, we should be loading into the race.
I'm seeing a lot of chat about Max Wiesel in the live chat being grandpa, and just a quick little note. I reset my game just to see if it had updated to Max Wiesel, because I had to do that in the socials when Freddie Rasmussen was racing under Ididot. But I've restarted my game. I've joined the lobby. Max Wiesel is still grandpa, so don't worry, everyone. Grandpa going nowhere at this point, and we'll see what happens for him in the Grand Prix. I mean, it was a very impressive qualifying for the old man, but he's only 33, turning 34 very soon. So Max Wiesel, happy birthday for next week, I believe it is. He'll be even more grand next time we see him in WOR. Of course, I think it might be a break week next time out for Las Vegas, which will be very interesting to see. But I can see now, Nathan, in the lobby, everyone is readying up, and we are getting ready to go into this race.
Yes, and I'm very excited, as you said before. And just another thing about Max Wiesel is that I think just before E-Series last week, TF10 posted a hot lap of him in one of the old, I think it was like a Formula BMW or something like that, around Silverstone. And he did a great job. I think it's Super Formula or something, Formula BMW, Super Formula, something like that. Did a hot lap around Silverstone. So he's raced there in real life in an actual car, which is something not many drivers in this grid can say.
No, I'd say that, Jan Ottman, Joseph Lowe can say that they've done a lap around Silverstone in a real car. I've been to Silverstone, if that counts. I went to Friday practice in this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I went with Kylar Nime in the live chat, but you can see the pollers in the pollers in the chat at the minute as to who is going to win. 18% of the votes so far going to Jake Benham, 8% of the votes going to Max. I mean, I'd expected a little bit more for Grandpa, but Jan Ottmer completely dominating the poll at the minute. 68%, and then an 8% for a comment, other comment below. Nathan, I think it is a good time for us to leave our predictions as to who is taking the win of this race.
I'll go a bit I suppose I'll go a little bit outside the top 10. I'll go with Alvaro Carreton, starting 16th. Ishmael Fasser did it from 15th. Another Williams surely can do it from one position lower.
Alvaro Carreton, I'd say it's a bold one, but you know what? I like it. One Williams winning from all the way back in 15th. Why can't the other one do it? I'll go with a bold prediction as well. I mentioned him when we were talking about qualifying surprises. I'll go with Istvan Pukki to take victory in this race. Both of them starting outside the top 10. We're going for very bold predictions, but Nathan, bring us us over to the game scene now. You can see it's very nice, clear blue skies here in Silverstone, and we're in that awkward period where we just have to keep on talking, wait for everyone to get situated and all their setups applied before we can get this race underway. We'll see what happens from this point onwards. I'm really excited to see how this race gets on. Jake Benham starting from pole position, snatching it at the final turn here. Of course, he was the last driver across the line to begin his lap. Ended up going P1, quickest of them all. Of course, 2 seasons ago, went from 9th to 1st in that first lap. Is he going to go from 1st to 9th? We'll have to wait and see, as we just wait eagerly in anticipation to get round number 2 underway. It was a thrilling race last time out in Bahrain, and I expect much the same here in Silverstone, one of the most historic Formula 1 circuits in history, and who is going to carve their name into the WOR history books tonight by taking victory in one of the most prestigious races on the calendar. I'm really having to milk this at this point, Nathan. I mean, I can't talk forever, but it feels like I'm going to have to. Everyone just readying up, getting into this one. Come on, guys. I mean, the timer should still be there. I don't know why it was ever removed, but you know, fair enough. Fair enough. You've trumped us here, and we'll see what happens in this Grand Prix once it gets underway. We're still waiting for players. That's the only indication that we have as to when we're getting into this race. Finally, then, the lights are coming on. Jake Benham starting from pole position with Grandpa alongside him. 5 red lights here in Silverstone, and we are underway for the British Grand Prix. It's a good start from Jake Benham in towards turn number 1, but even better for Max Wiesel, taking the lead in towards that first corner down the inside. A great effort from him there. Jake Benham falling now to 3rd because Jan Otmir has been able to overtake his teammate. Jake Benham still feeling the pressure around the outside from Ismail Fassi on the soft. Jan Otmir taking P2. The same goes for Max Wiesel. That is why those two had such great launches. Shanaka Clay further back behind, fighting it out with Duncan Hoffman. They've all got through the first sector cleanly. Shanaka's up the inside of Duncan, in through Duncan Hoffman going to have to go very wide through here. Shanaka trying to pin him around the outside, but I think Duncan Hoffman has just come off best there. But at the front of the order, Max Wiesel on his set of the soft compound tyres, he'll take the lead.
Yeah, drivers absolutely everyone just all coming through cops now, all 2-3 wide, heading into this 9th corner. Tamar Schgal down to 10th, being overtaken there by Louis Welch, who's in the top 10. Keen Gondorp started 17th. He's in 12th position. So he's made a really good start on his soft compound of tyres. Alvaro Caraton down to 17th. He's just overtaking Stan Van Dyken, who's on the hard tyres. But it's nice to see many different. That's Jack West and Stan Van Dyken round. Then Max and Beck, he must have went side by side. Jan Otmir takes the lead of the race from Max Wiesel, headed in towards Stoke Corner. So it was first and third for Mercedes at the start. It's just swapped around this time, and it's Jan ahead of Jake.
Jan Otmir, season 15 champion, taking the early lead here. Ika Baina on his set of the softs, going for the move on Duncan Hoffman, but I think Hoffman might have gone over the curbing through the Vale chicane, because here's Ika Baina around the outside in towards Abbey Corner. This can't go well for him. Ika Baina keeping it pinned around the outside. Terrible camera angles that we're seeing here, but it seems like Duncan Hoffman is now going to lose out to Louis Welch, also on a set of the soft compound tyres. Such great disparity in early pace between these compounds, as now Ispan Pookie is looking to lose a position potentially to Kian Gondorp after being forced wide by Shanaka Clay. In towards Brooklyn they go. Ispan Pookie held Kian Gondorp right to the inside, and he'll be able to use that outside momentum to maintain that position. It's been a very hectic beginning of this Grand Prix. Both Jack West and Xander Van Dyken, I think Reece Linton picked up some wing damage as well. That's why he's coming to the pit lane. But on lap number 2, Jan Otmir leading this race.
A very chaotic start and doing one up these sort of cops over Tamar Schgal to put himself into the top 12. And yes, Dan, definitely a very hectic start to this race. This Van Pookie looking to get himself ahead of Shanaka Clay to put himself even further up in that top 10. Currently sitting in 10th position. Will look to put himself into 9th. Gray takes it out of Chapel down towards Stowe. Doesn't need any slipstream at all. Just needs a little bit of ERS to the inside now. Shanaka Clay to pop himself in towards Pinon, and Keen Gondorp now looking to get himself through as well on the Red Bull inside line. Has to get squoze out a little bit wide as they head through, and now he's going to have to try and get him down towards the chicane. Has to break later. A massive break for Keen Gondorp, nearly taken out the Ferrari as they head through, and Shanaka Clay pushing Keen off track there. A little bit naughty there from the Red Bull as they head through, and now that Dylan Warren. Where did he come from?
Through goes Warren in towards the club corner. Kin Gondorp going off the circuit. Shanaka Clay follows through. Dylan Warren decides to send it up the inside. Hamilton-esque there from the Ferrari driver, and it's been a great beginning of this Grand Prix for both Istvan Pukki and Dylan Warren, making up 6 places altogether. How about Louis Welch going from 15th now up into 7th position? Incredible start for the McLaren driver, and as now Kin Gondorp continues actually to lose positions. Kai Pearson is going around the outside of Brooklands. They're going to run side by side through Luffield, through Woodcote this time by Kin Gondorp, just about going to hold on to that position, as still they're following along. Lap number 3, they're going to get their first taste of DRS this time by.
Yeah, and I noticed the likes of Tamas Gall and Daniel Kelson have really had this strategy ruined, haven't they? Started on the hards, they've dropped down completely all the way through the field. They're out of the top 10 now, 15th and 16th for the pair of those. As you can see, all the people in the mediums and the softs just getting ahead of them, as King going up now to the outside of Shanaka Clay in towards Stowe. Has to go around the outside, has no battery, he's got less than 10%, so you can see that red light flashing on the rear of his car. Bit of contact between Kian and Shanaka as they head down in towards the chicane. Who will come out ahead? It will be Kian. Bit of contact yet again in towards the braking zone between these two, getting a little bit personal between Kian and Shanaka as they exit the final corner, back down towards turn 1. Kian Gold does get the move done, and he's then going to be on the charge after Dylan Warren, who's on the medium tyres, making those work perfectly. Already up in towards 10th position on the back of his teammate, 8/10ths back behind his teammate, doing a very superb job at the moment. And then still in the field, you can see Jake Benham comfortably sitting within that 6/10 gap of Max and Jarno. So luckily for those two, keeping in contact with the harsh. Joseph Loke losing it a little bit. He's just over a second back as they head in towards Brooklands corner. Joseph would maybe want to burn a little bit of battery to get himself into that 1 second, but notice he's actually got about 8% of battery, so Joseph used all of that battery on those opening laps. Not the best start for him at all. And his teammate Ikabane is sitting right behind him as they come through in towards Cop's corner. He's 5/10ths back, so we'll see if he can get a move possibly down in towards Stowe.
Yeah, Ikabane might want to try and go for the move on his teammate. He'll know that Joseph Loke is vulnerable because, of course, that blinking red light at the back of the Alfa Romeo car. We'll see if Ika does indeed go for that move in towards Stowe corner on lap number 4. I think Max Wiesel is getting close to the rear of Jarno Ottman, but doesn't seem like he wants to go for a move at this point in the Grand Prix. They've not really pulled away from the pack at the moment. Jake Benham on 2-step harder compound tyres than both Jarno Ottman and Max Wiesel. It's right behind the pair of them and within DRS, so this is not good for their racers at this point in time. Joseph Loke does manage to hang on to P5 at the minute, but Ikabane is getting closer, and Joseph Loke is losing a lot more time to Ismail Fassi, and I think he would like to at this moment, as we saw on the timing sheets as well. Alvaro Carreton made a move, I believe, on Kai Pearson, as he is now up into P13. Both of our predictions, Nathan, to win this Grand Prix, running in a better position than when they started, but it doesn't look like they're going to have the best fortunes at this point in the Grand Prix, as there's Ikabane up the inside of Joseph Loke in towards Brooklyn. That move was about a lap and a half in the making, and he's got that one done. Yeah,
and the issue that lots of Ika and Joseph have is once they're outside that 1 second, it's really hard to get back in it, because by the time they've gained a couple of tenths in towards Max and Beckert, they're going to lose another couple of tenths when we go into towards the straight, then towards Stowe corner, and also Ismail Fassi getting a great run on Jake Benham, a 10.5 back as they head in towards Max and Beckett's now. He's about a 10.5 back in towards Cop, so great pace so far from Ismail Fassi, last week's race winner, currently sitting in P4, looking to try and extend that lead in the championship. Jarno Ottman was on the podium last time out, and now Ismail Fassi looking to make a move possibly on Jake Benham, round the outside or up the inside, or does he choose to sit back? We don't know what he'll do, but he chooses to sit back in towards the braking zone at Stowe, and Jake Benham also getting very quickly onto the back of Max Wiesel and Ismail Fassi. Can he look for a move this time in towards the chicane? No, he does sit back, but he's going very quickly. He's over Carousel now into the top 11, overtaking King, going up back down to 12th position, and the mediums for Dylan and Overo working very, very nicely. Obviously, Jack West, not so much, but he had that incident on the opening lap with Xander Van Dyke, and notice as well, Reece Linton's been into the pit lane.
Yeah, Reece Linton, he came into the pits at the end of lap number 1, so I think he got some sort of wing damage on his Alpha Tower. He's running dead last at the minute and 27 seconds off the pace, so it's been a bad start for him, unfortunately, after such an explosive start in this race. Kin Gondorp still fighting it out with Shanika Clay. And Shanika, something must be personal between these two. Joseph Loke gets back through on Ikebana further up the road, but Shanika Clay, I mean, he's let some other drivers go through, but he's really pulling out all the stops defensively on Keane Gondop. Further behind is Tamas Gao getting through on Kai Pearson. Xander Van Dyken swapping with Jack West, and it's around about this point in the race where we start to see drivers settle into a bit of a rhythm and not really go for the moves as much as they would really want to, but it seems like that is not the case as Tamas Gao goes up the inside of Keane Gondop in towards Cop's corner, makes that move stick, gets himself ahead of the Aston Martin. Let's have a look at the front of the order because Jake Benham is all over the rear of both Max Wiesel and his teammate Jarno Ortmir. Max Wiesel going for the move. Here comes Jake Benham. Can he take two into one? The two Mercedes so close to contact. Jarno Ortmir holds it around the outside of his teammate. Max Wiesel takes the lead of this Grand Prix. Jarno Ortmir remains in P2 at the minute as we're getting some awful camera angles on board both of the Mercedes. I don't know why they want me to go on board with them when I'm not using the onboard setting, but I digress from that. On lap number 7, Max Wiesel takes the lead of this race, but both Jarno Ortmir and Jake Benham still in behind.
And I noticed the softs have hit their kind of drop-off point. We know in this game the drop-off is very harsh. It will happen at once and the tyres will lose a lot of pace, and that's what's happened on, I believe, lap 5/6 of the race. You can see the lights of the two at the front really starting to lose pace. Shows he floats comfortably now within 5/10 of the top 4. You can see the lights of Tamas Gao moving himself up into 13th. Alvaro Shanaka also making moves on those on the soft tyres. Keane Gondop's now 6/10 back, and that's over a second back now from Shanaka Clay. Last lap, they were battling side by side. Ismail Fassi still looking for a move ahead of the Mercedes, but obviously the two Mercedes can work together, so that will cause a bit of a blockade for the likes of Ismail Fassi, who will be looking to get himself ahead of Jake and then possibly ahead of the two Max Wiesel and Jarno Ortmir on the soft tyres. And then we can see Joseph Loke, he's also started to gain a little bit more on that battle for the top 4, who's also doing a tremendous job of driving. We don't see too often in the sim racing world, doesn't have much time to practice, he's always off to IRL commitments in GB3. So considering the fact he doesn't drive as much as these do, he's a very, very quick driver and also always on that top pace of the leaders here in WOR. And Ikebana also getting on the back of his teammate, won't make a move, he's a little bit too far back in towards Stowe Corner. But all the time that Max and Miano kind of just hold each other up, and Jake and Ishmael, it brings Joseph, Ika, Louis, Duncan all into this battle as Keane Gondop yet again now fighting for P15 with Daniel Kjelsen in towards a chicane. Keane defending heavily. Daniel to the inside. Keane has to back out a little bit, nearly off circuit there from Keane, so he will drop back in there. Kai Pearce up the inside up the final corner in towards turn 1. Kai Pearce looking for him but couldn't quite get it done. He had to back out in towards turn 1, but a lot of moves, Dan, being made in a lot of risky places.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible to see, actually, that we're seeing moves into the Vale chicane and through Club Corner and then in towards Cops as well, just a few laps ago. These guys really don't care at this point in the race. As lap number 8, the softs, I think, have completely died off at this point because they are being hounded, all of them, by the hard runners. Philip Presnader is through on Kai Pearson, and I'd imagine is going to get through on Keane Gondop very soon, so they've got to start thinking about their pit stops. Here's Ishmael Fassi on the back of Jake Benham trying to look around the outside of Cop's corner. Be bold and brave, but he just hasn't got the run to go for that move there, and I think for the best. Running side by side through that flat out right-hander is incredibly difficult to do. Let's have a look at Jarno Ortmir, who is on the back of Max Wiesel heading through in towards Chapel Corner and then off the exit onto the hangar straight. Jarno Ortmir has DRS on the Red Bull driver, not sticking in the slipstream though. He'll maybe try and stay behind Jarno at this. Oh, Jarno, stay behind Max Wiesel at this point. Let him punch a hole in the air for him. Then when the time is right, go for the move. But Max Wiesel remains in the lead of this Grand Prix on lap number 8 of this Grand Prix. You can see the prediction has come to an end. 76% of 675 voters, Nathan, say Jarno Ortmir is taking the win. But on lap number 9, so far Max Wiesel is in that place.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to think that these drivers on the hards are probably in the best position because they'll go into a softer compound at the end with that overcut. So maybe this soft tire at the start isn't going to work as much as they would like. For drivers who have started further down, for the likes of, well, it would have been Keane Gondop until he dropped all the way back down to where he started. But when he was up in P11, P12, that would have been an executed strategy well. But you can see, as these extra few laps have come through, Kai and Keane have dropped down to P16, 17. Iswan Pooki's just kind of sitting where he's in P9 and his teammates sitting behind, and no one else has really made any moves. Looking for the likes of Ika and Jarno and Max, they've all got that DRS, so no one's really been too aggressive with them, so they will keep those positions, but those further behind will be battling a lot harder for those key positions in this race. Duncan Hoffland, he'll be looking as well to get himself ahead of Louis Welch shortly, currently sitting in the top 8. Finished 10th last time out in Bahrain, so we'll definitely like to finish it a little bit higher than that in this race here at Silverstone. As they just head through Maxton back at Chester before that DRS down in towards Stowe Corner. You can see a lot more speed being carried through by Duncan Hoffman on the back of Louis Welch. But he's not being keen to use his battery. He's sticking on that around that 70% battery, so he's not bothered at all really about getting ahead of Louis Welch. He's not really losing time. Jono Otmeier takes the lead of the race ahead of Max Wiesel down. And now Jake Benham looking to the outside of Max Wiesel in towards the chicane. They go. A nearly bit of contact between the two Mercedes as they come through. Jake has to back out, nearly making contact with Max Wiesel. And now Ishmael Fatih to try and get himself through, but unfortunately couldn't make it work. But Jake Benham nearly making contact with Max at turn 17. That would not have been an ideal scenario.
And incredible camera angles once again from the F1 23 game. I'd love to get to choose them so I could just delete all of these terrible on-board shots. But yes, Max Wiesel has been overtaken by Jono Otmeier. Jake Benham once again going for an overtake, but it not working out in at the end for him. Duncan Hoffman, meanwhile, is looking for the move on Louis Welch in towards Brooklands corner. Is he going to be able to make that move stick? Indeed. No, Duncan Hoffman's actually been able to fend off the attacking McLaren through here. So, yeah, Louis Welch. No, I think Louis has actually been overtaken. Apologies there. Sorry, I'm a little bit delirious at this point in the race. It's been a long day here in the commentary booth, but nevertheless, lap number 10 of 26. Jono Otmeier retakes the lead of this Grand Prix ahead of Max Wiesel. Surely, though, these tyres are beginning to go off at this point because we're already 10 laps into this race, 9 laps on the softs at the minute. They're going to be completely dead in comparison to all of the hard runners, and it's only a matter of time before they have to come into the pit lane and strap on a fresh set of boots. I'm wondering though, is Jono or Max going to try and extend it to go on the mediums? We'll have to wait and see. For the time being though, neither of them come into the pit lane. Ishmael Fatih is all over the rear of Jake Benham as we've got some pit stops. Louis Welch and Istvan Pukki off their softs.
So they think those softs are done and dusted. They'll probably pit onto a set of medium tyres now to take those all the way to the end of this race. And those on the softs ahead, Jono and Max are surely should be coming into the pits very shortly. But we know Jono, he loves an overcut. He loves to go a little bit longer on his tyres, so we'll see what he does with his strategy. And Ishmael Fatih and Jake Benham probably a little bit annoyed being stuck behind because they've got a lot more pace to use on those hards, but they just can't execute it as they're stuck behind those two soft runners. So it's a big shame for them not to be able to execute those hard tyres. Duncan Hoffman still looking to get himself some moves in this Grand Prix, couldn't sit in the top 7. Will be looking to get himself ahead of Ikeban as soon as obviously he's on the softs as well, and they're really starting to die off. But Dylan and Alvaro, surely they can go to a set of softs, so they might be on probably the best strategy. We know obviously over in PSG and E Series, Dylan Moran started 19th, went on the mediums, went to the softs, went from 19th to 3rd. So this medium to soft strategy definitely very favoured. So we'll see what Dylan and Alvaro can make of it because their tyres are still quite comfortably on the pace of the hards and probably at this point still quicker than the hards.
16 laps on the mediums I don't think sounds all that out there, to be honest. It's already 10 laps into this race and the soft tyres are seemingly okay, as now Jono Otmeier at the front of the order has been overtaken by Max Wiesel once again up the inside and towards Stowe Corner. They've been swapping positions. Max Wiesel making the call to come into the pit lane at the end of lap number 11, and I believe Ikebana is also going to follow him through. So Jono Otmeier looking to be potentially one of the lone soft runners in this race, and Kian Gondor makes a rookie error, speeds in the pit lane. His day going from bad to worse, but 4 soft runners into the pit lane. Jono Otmeier, he's very fond of the overcut, and he's going to try and make it work here on his set of the softs to go onto the mediums and try and end off this race. He's going to have Jake Benham and Ishmael Fatih hounding him throughout the entirety of this lap, but I think due to the team play that both Jono Otmeier and Jake Benham employ, probably got some of the best synergy in all of league racing. Jono is going to allow for Jake Benham to go through and then try and hold up Ishmael Fatih as best he can. Great teamwork from both the Mercedes. Jono still sticking it up the inside though. Jake Benham will back off through here, and now Ishmael Fatih off the exit of Woodcut Corner. Will he go for that move up the inside into Cops Corner? Please do not go for it there, and he'll remain in P3 for the time being. But Jono Otmeier lets his teammate through.
Yeah, and the two Mercedes working well. It'd be nice if they could work like this IRL, the two Mercedes. But yeah, they're doing a great job so far. Jake and Jono just to fend off the likes of Ishmael Fatih, Josie Floker are all closing in, very keen to get some moves where they can. Great exit there from Ishmael Fatih. Surely he can try and get the move done this time on the Flying Dutchman down in towards Stoke Corner to the outside line. and he's not really using that much battery, Ishmael Fassi. He's not too keen to get passed onto the gravel nearly for Ishmael Fassi, through towards the entry of Stowe. Looking for a bit of a switch back, you know what, mate, into the pit lane, so that's him done on his soft tyres. So now one Mercedes at the front, which is Jake Benner, who started on pole, Ishmael Fassi in second, Joseph Floke in the top three, who's also keen to get some moves in this Grand Prix, sitting right at the back of Ishmael Fassi as they exited out of the final corner. And also Dylan and Alvaro, we'll see what they're able to do on the rest of these remaining laps on the medium tyres, currently on 12 laps. So surely they can drag themselves probably about 3 or 4 more laps, get onto a set of softs and push to the end of the Grand Prix.
I didn't notice that Ikkebana, for whatever reason, is on a set of softs. Is he confident that the rain is going to hit and that he's using these? That would be an incredibly smart move if it works out. Because we know that there might be some rain at the end of this race. If it gets wet enough for the inters, then that 2 compound rule is effectively nullified. So Ikkebana could be in a great position if he's able to overtake all these runners on the sets of the mediums. If not, he's going to look a little bit of a fool when he has to pit for the second time onto another set of tyres, which will have to be the mediums. But if it works out for him, Ikkebana could be in an incredible position to potentially take victory in this Grand Prix. Everyone else has gone on to a set of these medium compounder tyres, so they are fine to go to the end. But Ikkebana, very bold and very risky strategy. We'll see if it works out for him in the end as Ishmael Fassi gets close to the back of Jake Benham in towards Stowe Corner. Jarno Opmeer did do a good job of holding up Ishmael Fassi, but it really only was for 1 lap because Ishmael was just utilising the DRS both down the long straight of the Wellington straight and the Hanger straight. Has been able to close that gap. And here's an interesting one. Philip Preschneider into the pit lane to take off its hards.
Yeah, no, that is Istvan Pickled to remove, being defended there from Max Wiese in towards Stowe. Max Wiese now ahead of the Ferrari. There we are. And Louis Welch also sitting right behind comfortably in net P3 in this race. And Ikkebana sitting right behind them. And Jarno Opmeer's got to gain a bit more time, 1.7 seconds back on that overcut strategy. Of course, he will be a little bit further back on the pit stop, so he needs to try and get himself back into a second ASAP so we can try and make those medium tyres work and just try and keep himself in more of a comfortable position to fight for leaders. Dylan Warren fine with Alvaro Caraton in towards Luffield they go. Bit of contact between the Williams and the Ferrari as they head through. Dylan Warren just edged ahead over a Caraton off track. Dylan nearly into the wall there as they go side by side, still heading up the hill in towards Cops. And Shanaka Clay looking for a move round the outside of Dylan Warren. Great move there from the Red Bull driver as they head through. But Dylan, he's not going to let that go. He wants to get that position back. Also, we know Shanaka and Alvaro probably are going to work together. Even though they're in Red Bull and Williams, they are still teammates in the world of F1 Esports. So great strategy between the two. But Dylan Warren will be very, very furious.
Dylan Warren, I think he might have got a little bit too trigger happy on the throttle there. Lost the position to Shanaka Clay, who's now a wedge in between himself and Alvaro Caraton. At the front of the order, Ishmael Fassi got the move done in towards Brooklyn as now he leads this race for the first time in this Grand Prix. I see an Alpine, I think that is coming into the pits. Indeed, that is Tamas Gal coming into the box, taking off his set of the hard. So both Alpines pitting early in this Grand Prix as still, I'm trying to see where everyone is at this point. It looks like Louis Welch is close to the rear of Istvan Pukki, and Ikkebana's not really made all that much progress on his set of tyres. Meanwhile, as we look back to Dylan Warren and Shanaka Clay, Dylan has got that move done in towards Village and through the loop, has solidified that position. Tamas Gal will come out the pit lane, I presume well behind everyone else, but I think that King Gondor and Philip Preschneider, Shanaka Clay still all over the rear of Dylan Warren and looks to the inside of Brooklyn. Dylan going to hold him around the outside, but Shanaka Clay with those harder tyres definitely in a better condition than his worn out mediums. Tries to go for the move, doesn't seem to work out this time.
No, because he defended very hard there against the Red Bull, trying to keep that position ahead of Shanaka, of course, and now needs to start hunting again after Alvaro Caraton. And the thing is, just so that rain doesn't come, or if the rain isn't hard, isn't bad enough for into tyres, Ika's ruined the strategy, hasn't he? Because he's got to pit again, because he can't do a soft. He's got to have a different set of compound of tyres if it doesn't go to a wet track. So maybe this isn't going to work for Ika, because it said on the screen that it would only be light rain, and I don't think light rain causes inters, does it? I don't think it would anyway.
It can do, yeah. If it rains long enough, I mean. Multiple drivers into the pit lane there. I think if it is light rain, it can potentially, I think intermediate conditions are feasible if it does come maybe around about lap number 20 or 21. We'll see if it works out for him. Of course, I mentioned that it's a brilliant strategy if it works, but if he doesn't, if the rain doesn't come in time for him to go onto the inters, he's going to look a little bit silly going for this one. Dylan Warren boxes onto a set of the softs off his set of the mediums. Meanwhile, everyone else is going for the medium tires. Very interesting. I think the soft definitely can make it to the end. It's just a question of whether or not the longevity is going to last. And as here is Jana Watmir up the inside of Ikabena in through Village. So those softs really not working out for Ika. It begs the question, was it even worth it to go into this set in the first place? We'll see if it works out for him later on. They're still in fine condition at the moment, but he's not actually gained anything. He's not overtaken anyone on his set of the softs, and has in fact now lost the position to Jana Watmir.
Yeah, now the likes of Tamash, Jake, Philip need to all work together to try and close that gap to Ikabena and those ahead, as that gap is nearly 5 seconds, but we know that tyre offset, when you're on 3 or 4 lap older newer tyres, they're a lot quicker. So they should easily start to gain in on that top pack. And obviously, Dylan Warren going onto the set of softs. We know he loves a bit of a bold strategy, so he's going to try and see what he can do with those tyres. That was Kyle Pearson, I believe, getting through on Keane going, wasn't it, in towards Cops?
Into Cops.
Yet again,
corner.
I wouldn't say, but I think Cops are pretty one of the most popular overtaking spots this race.
I know. I've seen it 3 times, I think, at this point, and it's worked out this time for Kai Pearson. Kian versus Kai. Meanwhile, Jake Benham is through on Tamash Gal. No DRS for Tamash with slightly more worn out tyres. Ishmael Flash and Daniel Shelton have come into the pit lane for a set, presumably, of soft compound tyres. Indeed, they've gone onto that compound. Where are they going to emerge in comparison to their rivals of Jake Benham, Tamash Gal, Duncan Hoffman, Philip Predator as well? We'll see. They exit the pit lane. I'd imagine the undercut has worked out for Jake Benham very nicely here. He will indeed emerge ahead of that train. Jana Watmir still cooking up moves. He goes through on Louis Welch and actually makes it stick in towards the loop section. Duncan Hoffman fighting out with Philip Predator Nathan on lap number 17. Seems like the battles haven't stopped.
Yeah, well, it's not often a commentator jumps, but I did then. Dylan Warren come through turn 2. He had Keane up the inside, and Ishmael Fassi came out the pits. That was very close to contact, and I thought one of them was going to go round because Dylan flew through, and there was 2 of them coming as well, and I don't think at first Ishmael saw Dylan. Luckily he moved at the last second, but that was a very scary thing happening there for Dylan Warren. But he's got himself ahead now of Kai Pearson, and I'd love to, after the stream, get a replay of that and have a look, because that was a really, really good defence from Dylan Warren to keep Ishmael up the inside, but also not end up taking him round, because yeah, it was an interesting one. But Max Fiesel, bit of contact with Jack West as they head in towards Stowe and getting around the outside of Xander Van Dyken as well. And he'll put himself into 3rd position. And still, Jack West is going to try and fight back. Nothing he can do. He's on 16 lap old mediums against 5 lap old mediums. As that's also his fan Pookie. Also getting himself ahead of Xander Van Dyken. Xander's going to try and fight it through. They're heading towards the chicane. And nothing he can do. Jana Watmir through in towards turn 1 ahead. Xander Van Dyken. Great move there from the Flying Dutchman on the back of his fan Pookie.
Of course, these guys have a lot more worn out tyres, so it's going to be easy for them to go for overtakes. Dylan Warren sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on his 2 lap old soft tyres, and at this point it just doesn't look like the rain is coming, as there's Istvan Pookie at the inside of Jack West making that move stick. Jana Watmir is allowing for Istvan Pookie to just punch a hole in the wall for him, and then he just steps on through. Jana Watmir, a great race from him once again, of course finishing in P3, looking like a podium at this point. However, he has got the freshest tyres out of anyone in this train, so I think Jana Watmir potentially could be the best driver, you know, the driver that is he's got the best chance of winning at this point, is now Louis Welch looking for a move on Jack West. You said it earlier, it's a very popular place to overtake through Cop's corner, as he backs out this time by, but Louis Welch blinking on the battery, so he's really not got many resources to go after with Jack West. But just the difference in pace between 7 lap old tyres and 17 lap old tyres is paramount at this point. It's so clear who the more confident driver is. Louis Welch off the exit of the corner, following in the wheel tracks of Jack West, making a very difficult job for Louis Welch to go for this overtake into Stowe corner. He'll make that one stick and get himself finally up ahead of Jack West, but at a cost of potentially losing DRS to Louis Welch. To Jana Watmir.
Oh, Jack West. What's happened?
Oh, what?
Oh, he's round.
What? Huh? He spun.
He's got a puncture.
Oh, he has a puncture. Into the pit lane. Jack West gets a puncture. Oh my word.
Let's hope it doesn't cause a safety car because he's held it for quite a long time.
He can't get the car going. He's going to miss the pit lane as he's trying to pull it in there. Jack West, he can't go.
He's beached it. It's beached.
Oh, Jack. No, that's so unfortunate for him. He'll reset to track and have to do another lap here. Day ruined for Jack.
No, he's just turned around on
circuit. Turned around.
Well, we don't promote this and always hit them. This is not going well at all for Jack West, is it?
It's fine. There's plenty of battles at the front. I mean, safety car's out now.
Safety car!
Oh, Jack, man. Oh, safety car has been brought out for Jack West. We were just watching an incredible battle. Incredible battle for what, P10 or something? Ismail Fassi was looking for a move, I think, on Duncan Hoffland. Joseph, man, he's come into the pit lane, had all the time in the world to get the car slowed for a set of the softs and be winning this race, and he speeds. Come on, man, this is it's a word I can't say, but it's something housery. This entire Grand Prix at this point is Jarno's made a move on Istvan Pukki in the pit lane, and they've
penalties.
They've got penalties.
Oh, wow.
They both have penalties, and Louis sped.
So, I don't like to be one to bring this up, but all I'm going to mention is 2008.
2008? What, Silverstone?
Singapore.
Crashgate.
Yes. It seemed a little bit, didn't it? Jack made a bit of a mess of it. Joseph ended up being in the perfect position to pit.
No,
so
I don't buy it. I don't think so. I think Jack couldn't turn the car. You can't do it when you have a puncture. He tried to get in the pit lane. He could have gone around the circuit, but I think the puncture couldn't be planned. You can't plan for a puncture. So Jack West, unfortunate that that's happened for him, and unfortunate for a lot of drivers that now didn't get the chance to pit. Jake Benham, for whatever reason, has stayed out on his set of the soft compounder tyres. Kai Pearson gets a penalty for track extensions under safety car somehow. Not sure how that's happened, but yeah, very interesting few minutes. We've now seen multiple cars get penalties. All of them have come into the pit lane. Somehow, Jarno Opmeer has come out ahead of Max Wiesel in that, but yeah, Nathan, I'm actually wondering, are those penalties removable for Jarno and Istvan? Definitely for Istvan, but Jarno, that's a bit questionable, I'd say.
Well, if Jarno ended up sending a move on Istvan, Jarno probably should keep the penalty, or at least maybe they'll lower it to 3 seconds or something. Yeah,
I think if he made contact trying to pull a move into the pit lane when you really shouldn't, I think that's a warranted penalty. But Istvan Pukki did nothing wrong there. He was just following in behind of Max Wiesel. So I think Jarno Opmeer might keep that penalty, and it's looking like it could be a fight between Max Wiesel, who's got a completely clean slate in this Grand Prix, no penalties for him, and Istvan Pukki, who's likely going to get that one removed. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Louis Welch somehow got a penalty. I don't know. Joseph Loke has a penalty when he was in the best position to win this race, and he's thrown it away. So I don't know what he's done there.
It's going to be an interesting ending. We saw this last week, didn't we, back in Bahrain? This time, Dan, at least I'm going to be here to see it. My game hasn't crashed yet. That's why I said check, because it probably will happen.
Don't jinx it, yeah.
But Dylan and Jake are going to be pretty much moving chicanes, aren't they, at this point? 5-lap old softs, 5-lap old mediums. Yeah, it's going to be a very entertaining ending. I think, obviously, Joseph and Jarno are in the best positions, but they've both got penalties. So that would mean that Max Wiesel's in the best position, followed by... Well, Leek has actually made this work, hasn't he, now? That safety car saved him completely, because he's able to get himself onto a set of mediums. He probably will be overtaken by a few drivers behind, but he's got 4 drivers ahead that are on penalties. There's no way they will end up getting, 5 seconds in... We're going to have 4 laps. So this is very good, isn't it, for Ika and Tamas and Duncan are behind.
Yeah, and there's now... I think there's no threat of rain at this point in the Grand Prix, because looking at the skies, you can still see there's clear skies up ahead, so the rain is not going to hit in this race. So Ika Bena, it was a gamble, certainly, and if it worked, he would have been a genius. If it doesn't work, then he's going to look silly, and unfortunately, he's looking a little bit of a fool at the minute, but nevertheless, he's still in 11th. And with all the penalties in front of him, maybe he can squeeze his way into the top 10. But with a whole train of drivers on fresh soft behind, that might not be too easy. As I'm just thinking, Dylan WOR and Ishmael Fassi, Daniel Shelton and Alvaro Caraton, are they really going to be in that bad of a position? I think Dylan is going to have it a pretty difficult time of defending. But Alvaro, those laps are those are essentially fresh soft tyres. They're only 2 laps older than the likes of Jarno and Max. Daniel Shelton and Ishmael Fassi might be able to get away with it. So we'll have to wait and see at this point. But yeah, safety car in this lap. Jake Benham now controls the pace on his 5-lap-old mediums. It'll be very difficult for him to maintain this lead. But with now 5 laps to go this time by... No, sorry. Yeah, 5 laps to go this time by. See what happens.
Well, Jake's ahead of Dylan as they head through and towards the final corner. Joseph Loke will also be looking to hunt down those 2 ahead as they head through. And when does Jake start to go? He goes early. He goes very early there. And you can see he got a great run over Dylan WOR. And the gap's 5 tenths and they head out to the final corner. Now Joseph Loke, you can see already on the back of Dylan WOR, goes up to the inside already. And Joseph Loke turn one at Abbey, makes a move. And that's already someone, I think, round. That's Shaneka Clay. He's round down at the final corner. So big shame for him to be pretty much out of this race now. And you can see Dylan WOR down to 3rd position. Ishmael Fassi looking for him around the outside at turn 4 to get himself ahead. Can't do so, has to back out. And now Jarno Uppbeat will be looking to get himself through. Max Wiesel will also be looking to make some moves ahead of Alvaro. Daniel and Ishmael ahead as now Joseph Loke takes the lead of the race as they head down towards Brooklyn.
Yep, and Ishmael Fassi's up the inside of Dylan WOR and going for the move. Legged on the brakes through Brooklands. Dylan WOR going to try and hold it up the inside of Luffield. Can Ishmael Fassi make this move stick? They're going to run wheel to wheel off the exit of the corner. Still further back behind, more battles taking place as Jarno Uppbeat is lost out to Istvan Pukki at this point. Ishmael Fassi going to remain in P4. Once again, a late safety car causing pandemonium here in WOR, but I think Ishmael Fassi, he sees blood in the water. He can go for this move potentially on Dylan WOR, and without the assist of DRS, he slides his way through Chapel. A snap of oversteer for Ishmael Fassi might have killed any effort that he could have made for a move. Dylan WOR potentially looking at going for the move on Jake Benham. They'll remain that way as they head in towards lap number now 23 of 26 at the front of the order. Nathan, Joseph Loke's charging away.
He isn't. He's got that 5 seconds. I don't think he'll pull 5 seconds, but he'll definitely pull quite a gap, I think, to those behind. So it'll, it'll help him not go really, really far down the grid. Is Alvaro Caraton there, having to defend from Max Wiesel towards turn 1. Max going to have a great lunge in towards 1 and 2. Then could look for him into turn 3. Touch a bit of grass there on the way in towards turn 3, so that lost him a little bit of momentum. And Ishmael Fassi still looking to make moves. Daniel Kjeldsen, Alvaro Caraton all making moves. Then that's Max Wiesel on the outside, 3 wide as they head out to turn 4. And a bit of contact between Max and Alvaro as they head down towards Brooklands corner. Daniel does keep that P5 position. He's going to move out of the slipstream as now we can see them nearly go 3 wide. Alvaro gets closed in. Max goes round 1. Can he get round 2? Yes, he can. In towards Lofeld. Max Wiesel through on Daniel and Alvaro. Now we've got Istvan Pukki also looking to get himself through. Istvan's also...
Oh no!
He's gone round!
Oh,
dear me!
Louis Welch
out to the race!
Massive accident. Louis Welch out. Istvan Pukki clipped by Alvaro Caraton. Louis Welch, the innocent bystander and all of that, comes off worst. The VSC has been deployed. Huge contact on lap number 23. Istvan Pukki's days in ruins. Louis Welch is out of this race. Philip Presneder has a silly penalty there. Alvaro Caraton has lost a number of places. Istvan was in the air, I think, at one point there. Yeah. VSC's been deployed on lap number 23. Joseph Loke still leading. And now, who's going to win? Ishmael Fassi's overtaken. What's happening?
I don't know. I think that's the best way to say. We don't know, and for many cases, it's probably best not to know, because this has become an absolute shambles. Alvaro gets a... Oh, wait, why are people pitting? Alvaro must have damage recently. He's retired from the session. Jack West into the pits. Istvan Pukki also into the pits. And dear me, it seems like Alvaro must have just misjudged this one on the outside, hit him. Then Louis Welch appears out of nowhere, out of the race, and I thought the cars would have ghosted, but obviously not. So, well, it's something, isn't it? But it neutralises the race. Jake Benham's got a 3.5 second gap. DRS has been enabled. Does that mean we're going? I think we are going, aren't we?
Is Joseph Loke going to win this race? He's now 3 seconds clear of Jake Benham at the minute, and Jake Benham is really doing a masterful job of defending his position at the moment from all the drivers attacking in behind. Max Wiesel still in a decent place to take a podium and maybe the win if Joseph can't extend that gap. But look at how close they're all following in behind each other. Lap number 24 of 26. We've seen 3 cars in the last lap retire from this Grand Prix. Dylan Warren practically pushing Jake Benham in through Magnus and Beckett. The difference in the pace is insane at this point, but those softs are beginning to die out for both Dylan Warren and Ishmael Fassi. They're still going to be incredibly quick for Max Wiesel. Dylan Warren pulling to the inside then of Jake Benham. Ishmael Fassi looking to split the middle of them. Here comes Max Wiesel as well. He gets through on Ishmael Fassi. Can he make the move stick on Jake Benham? He looks to the outside and he's going to make it 3 wide into the Vale chicane. An amazing move for Max Wiesel there, getting his way up into P3. The rain is here. The rain is falling on lap number 25, and this tail takes another twist.
Yeah, and Ishmael Fassi now to defend. Ishmael Fassi goes completely off circuit down at turn 2. Jay Benham still fighting out. This is with Duncan Hoffman and Johan Ottmeyer into the top 4, and that gap between Joseph Lock and Max is 4.9 seconds.
They're all sliding, as now Joseph Floke is almost out of that 5-second window that he needs to win this Grand Prix. Yellow flags all over the circuit for Istvan Pukki's car, which is still trundling along the circuit. Jake Benham losing a number of places. He's now down into 7th, finally getting swallowed up by the pack. We're on lap number 25, 1.5 laps to go. Who's going to win?
I don't know. It could be either Matt, I think Max, Dylan or Joseph at this point, because that gap's 4.9 seconds. There's 1.5 laps left to go, and this one Pookie's car stopped at the exit of Cops. Luckily, it's ghosted and no one's going to get DNF from it. Ikebana gets himself into P10, and that gap is hovering just under 5 seconds. It's 5.0. I think at this point, Joseph Logan is in the position to win this race.
Oh my word, it's who can win. Who can be quicker on this set of the tire, on the not bright tires. For the tyres are not suited for this condition, as they're just tiptoeing in and out of that 5-second window. I just don't know who's going to take victory, as now Duncan Hoffman looks to the outside of Ishmael Fassi. Ishmael is sliding his way through the Vale chicane. We've got a nice onboard shot of Duncan Hoffman, who looks out around the outside of Club Corner. Final lap this time by Max Wiesel is closing that gap to Joseph Loke here.
Yeah, this is pretty much into his territory nearly, isn't it? You can see the spots of rain on the circuit. You're not me on the back of Dylan Warren. Dylan's nearly, and actually, Joseph's made a mistake because Max Wiesel's now 4.7 seconds back. Dylan Warren's a second back. Johan Ottmeyer is also looking to get himself ahead of the front. He has a massive slide heading out to turn 5. DRS is still enabled as they head down in towards Brooklands. Johan Ottmeyer up the inside of Dylan Warren, going to get himself ahead. Dylan has a massive slide again. Dylan is not happy with these conditions at all. That gap between Max Wiesel and Joseph Loke is 4.7 seconds. I think at this point Max Wiesel's turned it around and now he is in the position to win this race.
Joseph Loke, I think it might be 2 second places on the trot. He's sliding his way through Cops Corner, loses all time possible as they're just... I mean, look at how soaked this circuit is, and this all happened in the span of just 2 laps. They're crawling their way. Joseph Loke's over the grass, shattering the DRS sign. Now Max Wiesel is losing crucial tenths of a second, crucial thousandths that he needs to win this race. Joseph Loke now 4.7 seconds clear of Max Wiesel. It's in God's hands now as to who takes victory in this Grand Prix. One slight error could ruin your race, as now Joseph Loke through the final corners. He's done all he can to take victory in this race. He'll cross the line on circuit, winning this race. Max Wiesel to the line though. He's been able to keep it within that 5-second window. He'll take the win by just 2.5 tenths of a second. Grandpa is on top this evening. Joseph Loke, 2 races in a row, finishes in P2. Dylan Warren, a fantastic podium for him. And with that penalty, Jarno Ottmeyer sinks all the way from P3 down into 10th. Immense stuff this race.
What an ending. And now I'm glad that safety car came. If that safety car didn't come, we wouldn't have saw that wet weather. But those final laps, that rain coming into it, completely changed the concept of this race for so many drivers. And it was interesting when you can see some of the gaps between drivers. Ika and Xander, 64 thousandths. Xander Van Dyken was round at lap 1 and he's now into the top 10 comfortably. And Kai Pearson also got another penalty there as he crossed the line, and also the gap between, I think it was Duncan and the guy in 4th, was also less than a tenth of a second. And Joseph Lowe, yet again, comes home second, but with a great, I suppose you could say, defence in a way from Max Wiesel to get himself over that 5-second gap. It was 4.8. at the line, but that
Amazing.
was a really, really interesting race at the end, and couldn't have asked for a better race, I don't think. Because Joseph Loke also got the fastest lap.
That was amazing. Honestly, from start to finish. That could go down as one of my favourite WR races. Not of this season. Just, we've only done 2 races this season, but just any race that I've commentated on, I feel that this one is going to stick in my memory as one of the most exciting. Wow, what a way to go out this evening. Joseph Loke, so unfortunate for him that he's not taking victory, but it's Max Wiesel. 34 is on the horizon, but he's still kicking it with the youngsters. He's celebrating with Dylan Warren on the podium. I'm pretty sure these two good friends in TF10. Of course, Dylan's not there anymore, if I'm not mistaken, but he's a part of the Ferrari scheme. But yeah, good friends celebrating on the podium together. Joseph Loke taking a podium for the second time. Once again, the bridesmaid, not quite the bride this evening. That 5-second time penalty is going to haunt him. When Nathan, I'd say he had the best chance out of anyone to take the win.
Yeah, it did, and I think with that P4 finish through Ishmael Fassi, that puts Joseph, I think, championship leader.
It definitely should. I mean, he's outscored Ishmael Fassi. Ishmael, I'd imagine, is going to be in P2 as well, but wow. Immense stuff. I'll bring us back to the intermission scene so we can digest what has actually happened in this Grand Prix, but incredible stuff. Just so fun from start to finish. 26 laps, Nathan, I'd say, of joy.
It was a really entertaining race, and yeah, the rain added its element, the safety car added its elements, but either way, it was a really fun race, and I think either way, we would have got a great ending with all the people on the different tyres all fighting through. So yeah, it was yet again back to back great races here at season 16, and it's starting off to be probably in my eyes one of the best seasons here at PCWR.
Yeah.
2 absolutely great, really, really fun races.
I think I'm most happy about the driving standards as well. I mean, they've improved so much this season. It started off really rocky in season 15, where there was just incidents everywhere. People just didn't have that drive, but now everyone's sort of got comfortable with this F1 23 game. It really has just worked out. And everyone's sort of getting cleaner, but they're still making these moves. And really, I can't tell you whether. Actually, okay, I say that. I've just remembered Alvaro Carreton and his Fampuki. That is one for the stewards. But in general, like, the driving standards are amazing today.
Yeah, it was. Well, apart from that one move, I think it was really good between all the drivers. Lots of fighting. We had people multiple times 3 wide in towards that last chicane. I think it was the 2 Mercedes and Dylan Warren. We had lots of people as well making overtakes around the outside at Copse Corner, which doesn't seem to end well. It ended quite well on every single occasion it happened. So yeah, the driving standards are improving and improving as it goes on. But we're getting closer to esports. The drivers need to put themselves into more of a conservative mindset, don't they? Obviously, head into that very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. That is on the horizon. I'm going to bring us preemptively over to the screen so we can see if anyone is waiting at the minute to talk to us. Indeed, there is both Dylan Warren and Joseph Loke joining us in the commentary box. We'll start with the man who's finished in P3. Nathan, do you want to talk to Dylan Warren here?
Yeah, Dylan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hello. So, great race. Considering the confidence yet again wasn't there, taking a podium, at the end was, I think, a very good result. Qualifying didn't quite go to plan. Did you think you'd get through to Q3, or did you think it was more you get through to Q2 and then just see what happens?
I mean, the latter, yeah, getting into Q2 and seeing what happens was the intention. But then again, I didn't think I'd get to Q3, but looking at the pace, I probably could have made it. Just my lap was a bit tragic. I mean, yeah, Silverstone, not much to expect.
Yeah, and then obviously they start the race throughout. Explain kind of what happened for you throughout the whole race.
Well, at the start, I think I was gonna gain, and then I nearly went on the grass into turn 3, then got hit the next corner as well. So I dropped 2 places and had to re-overtake everyone. Then I was in P10 for a long stint of the race. So I think I just sat there the whole time. I got double overtaken by both Williams drivers, Shanaka and Alvaro, which was annoying because I just had no traction. And then on coming to pit stops, I managed to re-overtake Shanaka. Then I was completely done for because I had no battery and I was trying to make moves, but it just wasn't really possible. And then, even despite that, safety car came out and it started raining at the end, which saved me completely.
So you glad the rain came then?
I'm so happy the end came, otherwise I would have been overtaken by everyone. So it's just like conditions I enjoy. So I mean, yeah.
And how many more laps of that round do you think it would have took before everyone had to go into the pits?
Maybe I think it was that lap, that or next lap.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, great job. Obviously, take a podium away after being obviously knocked out in Q2. So well done on that. And yeah, that's all from me. Anything from you, Dan?
No, really well done this evening, Dylan. It's great to see you back on the podium once again here in WOR. Hope for more in the future.
Yeah, let's hope we keep it in case Janna's penalty gets removed. But
Fingers
see.
crossed.
Yep.
I mean,
thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, mate. Sorry, Dan. I'll move you on to the race winner. That's my intention.
Move on to the race winner. I mean, we've
Sorry, second. On track.
on track.
Yeah, I wish.
on
Sorry, that's my
track.
I'm ready
track.
to go to bed. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.
Night, Dylan. As, we'll move on to our on-track race winner, Joseph Loke. I mean, first and foremost, home Grand Prix. Did this race mean anything more to you?
No, not really. It's a game, isn't it? So it's not like I've got fans there that are all cheering me on. But
Boring.
no, it's yeah, you know, yeah, the race wasn't exactly ideal. Qualifying was poor again, which is really quite frustrating. You know, I was quite far off what I knew I could do, and then the race just, you know, it was really hard to make moves. I was going to gamble and stay out until the inters, which would have ended up being the wrong thing. So, you know, luckily that safety car came out, which, you know, basically gifted me the win on track. But of course, me being very stupid, I decided that the pit limit was 50 instead of 37. So sped, and then couldn't make the gap towards the end.
Yeah, I was just wondering, that initial moment where you saw the penalty come up on your screen. What was your first reaction there?
Well, as soon as I got the penalty, I was thinking, well, I'm going to be lucky to get, you know, maybe a P5, P6 if that's even possible. Because obviously the guys that are pitted onto the softs weren't really on them for that long, but of course the softs drop off so quick that you know, it was enough to give me a good enough gap. It was just a shame that you know, I didn't quite manage to get the gap at the end to P1, but considering the penalty and everything, I can be pretty proud of the P2. You know, it's still a good result, and you know, leading the championship, so you know, it's not too bad.
Yeah, leading the championship, of course, coming into the next race at Las Vegas. How you feeling about there?
Oh, I can't. I might even not. It's so bad. I can't drive in Vegas. I'm a good half a second off at the moment, so I'm gonna have to figure out some pace there. You know, obviously the race is gonna be a bit more easy to overtake around Vegas, I would expect. So, you know, maybe there'll be opportunities even with a poor quality to make positions up, but we'll see. And you know, I'll try and get on the grind, try and find some pace, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be trying to fight back at the front again.
Yeah, well, really well done from me, Nathan. Anything from you?
Nothing much. You answered all the questions. So yeah, just well done on another P2, and I think now that puts you in the championship lead. So do you think you can still try and fight for it and win it this season?
I hope so. I mean, I'd hope that I can keep.
P2.
Yeah, well, I did, and then I couldn't make half the races. But you know, I've got no racing on over the winter, so hopefully we'll be able to make all the races. It should be okay. But yeah, again, it's, you know, the pace hasn't really been there to be leading the championship at this point in the season. So I'm going to need to find some pace from somewhere, which I think I can do. It's just going to be tricky to obviously, you know, find the pace when the grid's already so close.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's all from me. So I wish you luck next time out in Vegas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you to Joseph Loke for joining us in the commentary box. I'm just going to have one last little look at the waiting for interview room, and I can see Max Wiesel is indeed there. Race winner this evening, Max Wiesel. How are you?
Hello, good evening. You hear me?
I hear you perfectly.
That's nice. Fine.
Okay, so starting it off with your qualifying, starting on the front row, you were just a little bit shy of Jake Venner by about half a tenth. Was there anything more in there for you?
Yeah, from personal best, of course, but the lap at the end, I haven't practiced Q3, more or less nothing. I did one lap before the session, So maybe I wasn't using everything out of the track condition what was possible. But at the end, my PB was, I think, a low 2, so it's a 10th of PB. It's definitely okay.
Yeah, and heading into the race, you had early battles with Jarno Opmeer and Jake Benham. Sort of from your point of view, do you think that you were disadvantaged by the fact that the two Mercedes were working together so well?
Not really. I think Jarno tried to work a bit together with me to create a 1 second gap. Unfortunately, especially the second lap wasn't my best at all. I could at least a 10th or 2 faster, so we didn't get DRS with, I don't know, like a 10th. We missed it, so no, for me was the first thing was pretty easy compared to F2. Normally, that's a lot stressful than this one, so that was easy, and also the medium stint was pretty good until the safety car came out, and after this, I also need to see the stream and just have a look, because it felt as stressful as I didn't have it for a long time, to be honest. But luckily, it paid off, and we got a good result.
Yeah, and let's talk about those last few laps when the rain hit. I mean, both me and Nathan, our breaths completely held for the entirety of that last lap, dipping in that 5 second window all the time. From your point of view, how intense was that last lap?
I tried to not to focus too much on the delta, or on the gap, better said, because it just makes you even more stressful and get you some mistakes. I just try to manage to get Dylan another lap, another DRS straight to get a bit Jarno. At least 5 or 6 tenths behind me, to focus only on P1 with the gap, and then I really start thinking about it in the last lap when we go into Stowe. Then I saw it was on 4.9, so if you go into the last 2 corners, you really have to nail it. It's quite a bit of pressure, to be honest. I can't lie. Luckily, it paid off. It was enough. But it's really intense. It's hard. You have to push. You have no idea how much you can go until the rain kicks, and but it works well.
Yeah, well, really well done. That's all from me. Nathan, anything you want to say to Max here?
Well, first of all, hello, Max.
Well,
I said to you earlier, in your Twitch, would you get pole position? Did you get pole?
Second.
Well, close enough. So P2, you was about half tenth back, because obviously Jake set his lap. Yeah, Jake set his lap last, didn't he? But still, obviously, taking the victory, I think that means more than a pole position. So yeah, did you expect that or not?
No, definitely not. I mean, when I post, I can't wait to drop out in Q1 was, of course, not really. It wasn't my goal, to be honest. Of course, I was hoping for a Q3, even if the grid is really, really strong. I know that my pace around Silverstone is pretty decent. Unfortunately, I couldn't show it really often last time this game. But yeah, the race pace also in E-Series, and I know it was good, and I was hoping for a result like this, but never expected.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all from me. So yeah, well done, and well done on the victory.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great stuff this evening. Max Wiesel really has had an incredible time of league racing as of recent. We will bring you back over then to the intermission to cap off this round. And Nathan, one thing that I noticed actually after the race had finished is that crash that caused the VSC between both Isfan and Alvaro. You predicted Alvaro Caraton to win the race, and I've predicted Isfan Pookie to take victory. Yeah, I predicted Isfan to win, and they ended up taking each other out. So bit of irony there. I think maybe they're not going to be too happy with us when they sort of hear that. But very very interesting way to end this race. But wow, it's so amazing that British Grand Prix, and I really do hope Las Vegas is going to be like this.
Well, I think we did. Was it last season we did Las Vegas? Was it here?
Yeah, it was chaos.
I remember that. Because it was one about Ron and Yana all came together down at turn 14, wasn't it? It was chaos.
5 cars, I'm pretty sure, in that one corner.
Yeah.
Ishmael Fassi and Thomas Ronhart, both of them out of the race.
Mm-hmm. It was chaos, but I'd be lying if I said it was not fun. I really enjoyed that race, so I think yet again I think we're going to have 3 bats about really fun Grand Prix. We saw it in real life. So if IRL can deliver a Vegas Grand Prix, I think esports can deliver a lot more.
I'll have to catch up on the highlights of Las Vegas. Truth be told, I didn't want to get up for that race, but
You missed it. It was the best race of the season, in my opinion.
I can watch the highlights. I haven't watched them yet, but maybe I'll do that whilst having my dinner. But yeah, I won't be missing the Las Vegas Grand Prix here in WOR in 2 weeks' time. We've got a break week coming up this time, so yeah, we will see you very soon. Thank you to everyone for tuning in this race. We had an incredible 2,400 viewers at one point. If you haven't already, please make sure you like the stream and, of course, subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. The growth continues here in WOR. I think we might be on about 18,000 at this point. If you want to keep up to date with all your WOR news, you can also, first of all, follow us on Twitter and join our Discord. The link will be in the description. And if you want to follow myself on Twitter, it is at DanfieldF1_. And if you want to follow Nathan, it is RichieF1 with the I's replaced by ones. Thank you everyone once again so much for tuning in. We will see you next time out stateside in Las Vegas. But for now, it is thank you and good night.
Good night.